Okay, I think we're ready. Is this on? Is this thing on? Are we live? I think we're live. Good afternoon. We're almost done with the pirate flag. I've got them all sewed up. They're all ready to go. So today, now, in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to be mixing up some thin washes of dark paint, and we're going to paint the eyes and the noses and the teeth and the shadows on these pirate flags. We're going to finish them up. So let me wash my hands. I've got mineral spirits on it, and be back in just a moment. All right, first things first. I've got, well, the very first thing, I want to send a note to somebody who might be interested in seeing this. So let me post that up real quick. What I'm going to be doing, I have these paper templates that I use to cut the fabric. Can you see that? To cut the fabric out. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to trim out the eyes, and then the eye sockets and the nose and the jaw definition. And then I'm going to use that to get the rough placement of the features on the faces. And then I'm going to just paint. I'm going to build it up in, I think, in thin washes. I've never done this before, so we're going to see what happens. But I think this should work. Hope this works. Okay. Since this loads up, and I can, there we go. There's the link. And here we go. Copy. Cancel. All right, let me text this to my buddy and see if he wants to take a look at his pirate flag. Okay, that should do it. If we get that link out. All right. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and post one more. Let's go to this. So I was listening to these advanced Skyver stream last night while I was doing my live stream while I was sewing and stuff, and I got a notice on my videos today they got copyright claim because he played I forget two old songs that and I think they were in like comic trailers or something, whatever it was. I got dinged for it. So I mean, my channel's not monetized, so I don't lose anything there, but I don't like to step on anybody's toes as far as copyright goes. I'm a professional artist. I don't like to do anything to infringe somebody else's property, but I've got to figure out how to fix that, and I think I'll do that just by editing the video. Except there's another thing I learned. Okay. I think I figured out a way to edit it. The problem is the live stream is too long. Like it says, YouTube has this really cool editing tool that allows you, if the videos of, I guess, of a shorter duration than mine is, that you can clip things. And so normally I could just go cut out the offending 50 seconds or whatever it was. I think it's under a total of 2 minutes, I think, of infringing music. Or they claim it. I'm not going to dispute it. It's not my property. But they say my video is too long to do that with. So I'm going to have to get creative and do something else. We'll close this one a little bit. All right. Okay, so I posted up a notice here. I got a notice there. Got a notice everywhere. We're going to get to work. First I'm going to smoke and a drink, and then we're going to start cutting templates here. And they're really just going to take a minute to cut this out, and then I'm going to make a quick test. I've got some black, I've got ivory black, and some burnt umbers, some raw umbers, some raw sienna, and a couple other colors. Let's see, raw umber. What do I have here? Yeah, burnt sienna, and yeah, burnt umber. And then I do have a little bit of, or this is titanium white, in case I need to adjust it upward a little bit and make it a little grayer. But I'm going to start with that. I'm going to go real thin on this. If we look at the original, as much as I love this image, let's change this to our reference image, so you can see, and I can see what we're talking about here. So G flat B, open. Okay. All right. You know what? I am going to actually I'm going to turn that off. Cancel. We're going to go just directly to the display capture, and then I can zoom in on this as I need to. So here's what we're going for here on the left. This bold piratey image, but you can still see here, even this it's just real subtle shadowing in parts of it, and the eyes and nose and under the cheekbones get blacked out. So I'm going to mix up some dark paint, and I'm going to start kind of light and washy, and then once I get these areas kind of cut in and I get it all figured out how I want to do it, then I'll go in and I'll put some more solid blacks in. But I'm going to start kind of light and brushy and see what happens. I've got a couple scraps of fabric here so we can make a test with, so maybe I'll mess around with that a little bit. This is just real casual. It's the end of a long project, and it's a Friday afternoon, so I just poured a drink, and I'm going to just settle in and have a good time this afternoon with this and play around. And by the end of this, we'll have 3 completed pirate flags. I suppose I could listen to a general history of the pirates. They did not ding me for that. And I mean, the book was written 300 years ago, so I'm not really concerned about somebody else owning the copyright to it. Let's go here. That's what we're after. Pirate flag. And what do we want? Let's find this. Oh, you know what? I have this other phone. This is my old phone. Let me see if I can bring it up on there, and then I can use this to monitor the chat. I hope somebody drops in and says hi. I mean, it's more fun, the more the merrier. Get people in, talk about history or piracy or art, whatever. We'll just have a kind of a Friday afternoon free-for-all general chat. Vox audiobooks, that's the one. All right, let's see if this will load up. And if it does, then I can use this one to monitor my stream. I'm optimistic that we'll get some company. So there we go. All right, that's all set. Everything's good. We're ready to go. I don't mind showing all the setup here. I mean, that's just kind of one of the purposes of my the way I'm doing my channel, at least now, I'm pretty new at this, but kind of the way I'm thinking about it is an unvarnished, if you'll pardon the pun, look at how to make art and how to get stuff done. I've gotten a lot of useful information and learned a lot of stuff from watching YouTube videos, but a lot of them are they're cleanly edited and everybody has practiced what they're doing, and it just looks like, wow, bang, 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 boy, that was easy. And then you try it yourself and you may run into frustrations. And to me, the way to do anything well, whether that's in a trade or in making art or whatever, is being able to solve problems. And so I think if I just show the whole if I show the whole process, I'm setting up, I'm getting my tools, and gosh, I forgot that brush, or I need to go get some turpentine or whatever it is, or hey, I spilled this, how do I solve that? I think that's more useful. So that's how I'm doing it for now. I may find I may be doing this differently in the future, but for now I'm going to try just again an unvarnished look at how stuff actually gets made, rather than having a cleanly edited version that just makes it look easy and stuff. The making it look easy part is the goal of everything we're doing, and it's not easy to make it look easy. Sometimes it is easy, That is a tasty beverage. All right. I guess we're ready to start. Let me grab my, get my X-Acto. I've got a window here. I'm going to be working with solvents. You've got turpentine and barrel spirits and oil paint and stuff. You always want it well ventilated. Ordinarily, I paint out in my shed, and it's pretty well ventilated there. But even I'm in house at the moment, but I've got a window literally arm's length away. So you want good ventilation if you're going to do this way. Excuse me. All right, let's get to it. Let me change the, let's see here, make some room. How do I do this? I want to be able to see what I'm doing and show you what I'm doing. So I think I'm going to put the camera, we don't need a background image. Well, actually I do need, no, for this part I don't. Let me just expand the camera here for now. Transform. It's going to fit the screen. I'm just going to, and I can hide that chat box. I'm not using that today. Down so you can see what I'm doing. I've got a glass table here, and this is a really old one that I've used I used this as a work table for a long time. Get a piece of painter's tape that will hold my camera at a better angle, so you can. And there's not a lot to this, but I've been cutting templates for things since I was a teenager, and didn't have any formal training in it. It was a lot of on-the-job experience stuff. So maybe I've picked up a thing or two over the years that might be helpful too if you're trying to do something similar. Let's try, sorry for the shakiness. There we go. Okay, how about that? What we're making, this is my first template. This was for the projector. And this was, I backed it with tape. This is just typing paper, or printer paper. And I backed with tape, and I drew I traced the skull onto, and then, and I shaded it and stuff. This lighting isn't great for that, being able to see the detail. It's late afternoon here. But anyway, so I'm making a bigger version of that. So I projected it onto craft paper, and now I'm just going to take, just set the knife and just follow your line around. And it's a pirate flag, remember. This is all for fun. What a nice job. And you want to hold it at a kind of a shallow angle. It allows it to just cut cleanly. Just rotate as you go. There one. There's nothing more to it than that. This is not a complicated operation, it's just necessary. You know. By doing this, this will get these in the right place relative to the rest of the skull, and then we can proceed to painting. I haven't decided yet whether I want to sketch in with a pencil or a piece of chalk. Might use a piece of chalk on here, and you know, just to kind of set the outlines. Or I could just get. Ordinarily, I don't use a lot of pencil underdrawing. I'll just go in right with a brush, you know. Sometimes you want to be really precise. If you have a precise drawing on your template that you want to cut, you know, you stick to the inside of the line, the outside, or you take care to split it. In this case, when I made this, it was just loose and sketchy, and that's all I'm doing here. I'm just going for the general feel of it. You know, nothing critical about where any of these things are placed. There's the nose. All right, now we've got these define the cheeks. And so here we go. Like that, and then like this. I hope you can see. Yeah, good. So then once this is done, then I can lay this on my flags, and got an easy way to keep everything there. And then then we'll look back and forth at the, just like any other kind of drawing that you do. I'll bring the picture up on the monitor, and I'll look at it, and I'll say, all right, we need a little bit of shading here on the left, here a little bit more on the right, and then just do some of that artist stuff, But for now, it helps to have a template to get your initial things blocked in. You can do this by eye if you want, but why? Does that make it better? I don't think so. And I am also going to cut, I think I'm not going to cut this right now. This is the line of space between the teeth, and this is where the teeth meet, upper and lower. I'm going to leave this here for now just to keep the paper more stable. I did cut it on this one, and you can see. So when I get to that point, when I cut it, I'll be able to bend this up, and then I can trace that line, and that'll give me a good indication of where the teeth need to go. And that's that. So this one's ready to go. Now we've got the big one, and we're going to do the same thing. If you'll excuse me for just a minute, I'm going to pop my contact lenses in. I can't see, and that'll help, I think. And we're going to listen to a little bit of the general history of the pirates from about 1728, which is an account of piracy mostly in the Caribbean, and, the East and the West Indies, and Madagascar, and different places. I think she's talking about Charles Vane right now. I'm not sure. Oh no, actually, this is a description. This is an interesting chapter, but this requires more concentration than I get it. The next chapter is cooler, I think. She's talking about.
So from their simplicity, because they often sit still and let the sailors take.
So it's really an ethnographic and
other spies in a soil so
Yeah.
Though he had not been above 6 weeks among them, the choice was confirmed both by the lords and commoners, and he accepted of the honour, saying that since he had dipped his hands in muddy water and must be a pirate, it was better being a commander than a common man. As soon as the government was settled, by promotion, other officers in the room of those that were killed by the Portuguese.
She's talking about the election of a pirate captain.
Davis's death. He being more than ordinarily respected by the crew for his affability and good nature, as well as his conduct and bravery upon all occasions. And, pursuant to this resolution, about 30 men were.
You want to kind of get these processes, little things that stick out, and little dips and things. If you can, it gives it a little bit more verisimilitude. The real skull has them. The painted one. I copied this from the original flag. I'm just really trying to get the feel of it. I'm not trying to make a slavish copy of it, but it's got some really neat features. And when this is done, I want it to have the feel of a good old-fashioned pirate flag.
But this was not looked upon as a sufficient sufficient
Yeah, again,
satisfaction for the injury
this
they
is mainly
received.
for fun, you know.
Therefore, most of the company
Just
were
wanted to look
removed
cool,
from the
that's
town,
all.
which Robert
So,
said he would
we'll have a
yield
little bit of fun with
if
it.
any means could be proposed of doing it
Oh,
without
this is
their
the
own
Dread Pirate
destruction.
Roberts.
For the town had a
Bartholomew
securer
Roberts.
situation than the fort.
So he'd been on board ship 6 weeks, and they elected him captain when Captain Davis died.
Told them it was to be feared would fire and stand better to their arms. Besides, that bare houses would be but a slender reward for their trouble and loss. This prudent
So, yeah,
advice prevailed.
Clean surface. You can do this on a wooden surface too. I like the glass because it's goes real slick, quick. So let's cut the jawline here.
Gave back the friendship to those that had most right to her, and sailed out of the harbour by the light of 2 Portuguese ships.
If you ever
which they were pleased
go
to
over,
set
you know,
on
you
fire.
make a slip. I don't want to do that on here to demonstrate, but if you ever slip and cut too much of this, you just use a piece. I mean, I use tape all over the place. You know, the goal of a template is just to hold your lines, so you want to keep it stable. Sometimes it tends to bunch up like it's doing there, and then it's difficult to cut. But you get past that with a little tension on it, and it's all the better.
But meeting with nothing in their way, they sailed for Annabona, and there
There we go.
took
One side.
and put it to a vote of the company whether their next voyage should be to the East Indies or to
Keep that
Brazil.
tight.
The latter being resolved on, they sailed accordingly, and in 28 days arrived at Ferdinando, an uninhabited island on that coast. Here they watered, booked up their ship, and made ready for the
Ferdinando, I think, is off the north coast of
Now that
Brazil.
we are upon this coast,
Northeast
I think it will
of
be the
Brazil,
proper
I think.
place to present our readers with a
In fact, I think I
description
looked it up.
and
It's a
some
pretty cool
ingenious
place.
remarks of a friend, how beneficial a trade might be carried on
Unless I'm
here
confusing
by
it with
our
another
West
one.
Indian merchants
I've listened to
at
this
Axel Hazard.
audiobook several times. This is
End of chapter
a
9.
LibriVox recording. They apparently do. I don't know a lot about them, but just picked up on this. They take open source books like this one was written 300 years ago, and then they'll record it so people can listen to great old stuff. And this is a particularly good one.
Please visit LibriVox.org.
LibriVox.org. All right, so we got our templates here. That's all we need. We're ready now to.
Chapter 9, Part 2.
Boy, this is the scary part.
Brazil,
So let me. There are my flags. I think what I want to do right now is I don't know how to do this so that we can do both at once. What I'm really going to be doing in a moment is mixing. All right,
The air is temperate and cool in comparison of the west. And names.
Stop. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix up a thin wash of. Where's my liquid? All right, I'm going to make a thin wash of a dark paint. So I think what I want to do, I've got the best palettes I have is a coffee can lid. I'm just going to drop it down here so you can't show me and the work at the same time. So I want a coffee can lid. I want a little bit of, let's see here. I'm just going to start mixing stuff up. I've got here on my desk, I've got paper towels, I've got my paints, I've got, just all the kind of stuff you might need for this sort of thing. I've got paint, I've got the scraps of paper out. I'm not going to need these again, so they can be thrown away. Ordinarily, I do not throw templates away. I was digging through a drawer the other night for something, and we were looking for a pattern that I made 20-some years ago. It's always nice to have them. And the thing with making tools is, as you make them, you don't have to make them. You make them for one project, but if you hang on to it, sometimes it'll turn up that you can use that tool again. So when these are done, I'm going to be hanging on to these. Who knows? Maybe I'll need to paint more skulls for something else. I don't know. But if I do, I'll have them. I want some. I'm going to put a little liquid. This is a glazing medium. I'm using oil paints, as I figured they would have at the time. I have some acrylics over here, and I thought about it for a few minutes. Well, maybe I'll just use acrylic and paint it on there, but I'm positive they didn't use acrylic on the old ones, because they weren't invented until the 20th century. So And I generally favor oil paints anyway, just for appearance and longevity and depth of color and a whole bunch of other reasons. So I almost never use acrylic anymore. I used to. I started out painting in acrylics, and I like them, and they're good for some things. But for this, I know they never would have had an acrylic on here, so well, I want to see what I can do with oil. So I'm gonna put my knife up and get that out of the way. I've got some paper towels here. Let's get them ready in case of a spill or something. A little bit of that. We get a little bit of black in here. I don't have a whole lot of black, but I do have. I don't have a lot of black in this tube. What I do have is some pure pigment, ivory black. And I've had this for a long time. And that's, you know, you mix that with some medium, a little oil and stuff, and you make a nice, beautiful paint. And again, I don't need to make this at least not on this first pass. This does not want to be, or I don't want this really, really black or opaque. I want it, I'm making a gray wash. I want to kind of, let's see, why am I not showing you the image? I'm going to show you this image here. This thing is going to stretch the aspect ratio, I think. And I don't want to do that, but I kind of have to do that. So, it doesn't give me the option for, move the camera, change the camera up to here, I guess. We can see what we're working on. That's odd. How come? No, can't. Display capture, transform, fit to screen, image, transform, fit to screen, camera. I think I moved the wrong one, so there we go. Now, yeah, see, it keeps jumping down to that. What I want to do is just, there we go. Okay, that's what I want. So let's do that. I don't know why it's showing all this other OBS stuff. Oh, because it is display capture. Let's hide that. There we go. So that's what we're making, and these are the tools we have to make it with. So got my got a little paint, a little medium, and which is, again, it's just an oil painting medium. Helps the paint dry a little faster, and it gives it some different working qualities that I like. I use it often. And for this, again, I want a real thin wash on the first one. Now if I switch to this other image, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead. Can I copy? Yeah, how about this? Let's copy and paste, and I can switch back and forth easily. Edit, is there a paste? Edit, paste, duplicate. How about that? Look at that. Okay, so image 2, let's put that down here. We're going to change image 2 to the darkened one. Black, we'll call that black fill. Okay. So we'll say here, let's call this one, well, I can't name it, can I? All right. Anyway, let's just hide that. There we go. Yeah, okay, so now we can switch. So there's our goal. And here's our original source. So I'm going to start out going real light, because you can always go darker on this, and you know, it's more difficult to go lighter. So I just want a real thin gray. Just a transparent gray wash. One thing I'm concerned about that I've got to keep in mind, I don't know how this paint is going to react with the material of the flags. Is it going to soak through and bleed through to the other side? And is it going to, in this case, it's not a terrible thing, because the other side is just a mirror of this side. And, you know, where one shadow is on here is where it's supposed to be on the other side, roughly. If it bleeds through, that's probably okay. Let's start with this. A little jar of sludgy turpentine and oil. Let me get my brush cleaned off a little bit. That's kind of what I'm going for. Like, I could almost just paint with this sludge. that is there's a painter's trick for you. A little bit of spirits here that I'm going to use. Probably, I don't really need to clean the brush out. I just want to get some of the sticky turpentine off of it. Hey, little cat. My assistant scout has just showed up for a nap in the chair over there. She's going to want to stick around with the these spirits, but I'm not sure I'm going to either. All right, so I just don't like sticky brush handles. All right, so what we got is I'm going to just drop a little bit of this in here. Oh shoot, is it working? It's kind of working. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to pour some spirits in here. I'm going to set this over here in this other tray so it doesn't leak all over my desk. And I'm just going to, can you see that? So I'm just going to incorporate all of this stuff. It's kind of like cooking. You want to get it evenly distributed. And, you don't want chunks of pigment or paint. Well, I don't. Already we've got kind of a thick mix here. Nice black. The ivory black is a really good one. It's, I'm pretty sure they don't use real ivory for it anymore, but they certainly did. Today I suspect it's more bones, things like that. It's nice to work with when you're painting because you can get it's got kind of a bluish, it tends toward blue if you mix it with or set it against certain colors. It's kind of a cool black. So I'm just going to mix this all around. I just want a real thin, goopy, but evenly mixed. So anywhere in here that I drag some paint from is going to have the same consistency as anywhere else. And usually what I'll do for a palette, I'll mix up, if I need a glaze, I'll mix up a glaze kind of like this. Usually I prefer turpentine to mineral spirits, but I want to try something different for this project. I'm going to try with the spirits, but anyhow. Usually what I'll do is I'll mix up a glaze like this, and then I'll have some of the solid or the pure color off to the side, and then I can adjust as I go. If I need a spot to be more intense or more opaque or whatever, then you can easily drag it in and mix up a little bit of it to suit whatever you're working at right then. But for this, I'm going to start with this. You know what else I don't have? I usually use a little rubber eraser, a little square, it's rectangular pencil eraser as a squeegee, and pull all this into a pile. I don't like it all messed up around here. It's harder, it's easier to work with if you have it all in one side. So I'm just going to drag it over here. Clean that palette off, because then it's easier to tell how much you have on your brush, and you can load it consistently. If you're trying to do something repetitive, then that works a little bit better. I'd be doing this out in my studio if I could figure out how to do the mobile streaming. Apparently I'm technically eligible for it with my YouTube channel, but I tried it last week right after you have to have, the requirements are basically the same as live streaming as I'm doing now from my PC. But the addition of, you have to have 50 subscribers, which I didn't have until recently. I got 50 subscribers, and I thought, all right, now I can start live streaming from my studio. And I tried it; it didn't work. Said I wasn't eligible, so I don't know why. I got to go. I wrote them, but I haven't heard anything back. So, all right, let's see what happens. So I've got a little scrap of. I'm going to take a paper towel and set it down just for easier cleanup. I've got a scrap of the same material that I used for the the flags behind me. I'm going to lay this here I want to see how this stuff reacts to it. And I may need to thin this or thicken it or make it more opaque or less, I don't know. So that's why we're going to make a test here. It's like Einstein said, if we knew what we were doing, we wouldn't call it research. So we're just doing some research here. So let's just put it down, and that's kind of nice. I'm not crazy about the way this fabric's kind of fuzzy, and I don't like that. Usually I prefer working on real smooth canvases. So when I'm gessoing a canvas, man, I'll put a layer of chalk and glue down, and let it dry, and then sand it, and another layer, and sand it, and another layer, and sand it, and build it up, and then it's almost like glass. So this works, and it's pretty good. Let's take a look up close. I like the density of the color. My only problem with this is, if I have even a problem, let's see if I can do it. Can I do a crisp edge? That's my big question here. Can I do a crisp, let's say if this is an eye orbit, can I get a crisp edge along the edge of it? Yeah, if I pile up some paint on the, if I load up the brush and then kind of pile it up at that edge as I drag along, I can counter that fuzziness. Let me enlarge that image. Let's go to display capture. Come on, get out of my way. There we go. And now let's hide that and that. And let me zoom in to here, right? I'm gonna see, let's see what this looks like. I mean, does that that looks about right to me, actually. It looks like their fabric may have been a little thin, smoother when they originally did that, but the opacity of this, I'm pretty happy with. Is that all right? I can't tell if you can see this. I don't know what angle is going to be best in this light, but looking at it here in the real world and holding it up to my monitor, that looks like a pretty good match. So this is where I'm going to start. One thing I want is for this to be a little bit, and I don't even think I'm going to use any of these other colors. I don't think I need them. I may use, I might use them later on for some, I might do some weathering and, some fancy effects just to make this look a little older or something, but I'm pretty happy with this. I almost don't want to mess with this, Let me give this some thought. What do I want to do about this? I'm starting to think that I'm loath to thin it down too much. So maybe what I'll do is define the parts that need to be crisp, because it is really going to kind of go black, or toward black. Although I sort of like it pale like this. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna start light, and I'm gonna paint until I think it looks good. And I'll tell you now, I don't think I'm going to go black with it. I'm going to go this, and maybe even I should start a little bit lighter than this. Just looking at this, holding this up next to my monitor, I've got nice even light in that direction. Sorry that you can't see it, but with the glare, but that looks really good to me. So I think I may want to put a little bit more. I might want to thin this just a little tiny amount. On the other hand, if I don't thin it, what happens if I don't thin it? If I don't thin it, we get, we get this. I don't think I wanted any light. Here, there's something. I don't think I want it any lighter than this, It doesn't need, no part of this, I think, needs to be, how dark can I get it? Can I get it like that? And then, I could let that dry, and then I could do more in, or I can, while this is here, I could just work in some black, pure color, work it in there, and that'll give me some real, nice depth. But I'm looking at this, and I think that, like, if I hold this up, let me turn the camera for you. We're going to look at the pirate flags themselves. Let's switch this to, let's transform, fit to screen, and now let's look at the flags. I'm going to hold, right, like that. Now I'm going to just hold this fabric up to, did it come through? So there's another thing. It does come through a little bit, so I've got to keep that in mind as I'm painting, because it does soak through. Again, it's mirrored on the other side, so as long as it's not real sloppy, it'll be okay. But holding that up like that, perfect. You can't see that one. How about this? Like that. You know, I think that looks pretty good. I think that's a good place to start. Maybe a little, like I still, where's my tape? I got some blue tape around here. I'm gonna try this. Let me just hang this up here and we'll see. My inclination is to want to thin this just a little bit. Put a little smiley face on him. How about that? So ignoring the blue part, which is super high, I think it's kind of cool. I kind of like it. Hello, Maru. Hi, sweetheart. How are you doing? Hi. Hello. Hi. Well, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of the flags? Do you like them? Hi. Hello, sweetheart. Hi. This is my friend Maru. She's a good helper. Yes, dear. All right. You gonna go eat? Your son being moved, huh? All right. So let's compare. So I like that, right? Like that looks pretty good. Let's try now. I'm going to compare again. We're going to go up here like so. And what I want to do is, I think, you know what I need to do? I need to look at the, yes, what is it? Well, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? What does the wish? Is your door open? Let's see. Your door's open. You can go down there. You want to go out? So we want to go out, actually. All right, I'm going to let you look at this for now. There's nobody here anyhow, so I'll be right back. What I want to do. I'm going to go ahead, since I know this stuff can go all the way to black, I'm going to go ahead and paint those in and see what it looks like. Then, and this is a simple recipe, so I can, once I've done the stuff that wants to go black eventually, or toward black, then I could thin it way down and do all this stuff here under the cursor. You know, these shadows, they're very simple. They're just real thin, washy shadows. So maybe I'll do that in these two. So I'm going to do the real opaque stuff first, and then I can do the lighter stuff after that. So let's go ahead and I want the guess maybe I can enlarge that, right? Let's try this. And I'll open up image 1, which is the original, which is what I want to look at as my reference. And I don't really need that much of a reference for it, but I think that works. I'm going to do that. Again, we're playing around. This is just for fun. And B, it's going to work just fine, because I know it will. So let me make a little bit of space here. I'm going to put that flag here, and then I may need to wash my table a few times as I go, but it's okay. It's another reason I like glass. It's easy to clean up. Ordinarily, I work out there, and I've got proper studio set up, work tables and stuff like that. But put this over here. Yeah, I just want to keep everything out of my way because I'm going to be dragging the whole flag over here, and I don't want to mess it up. So we're going to go slow at first to minimize errors, and let's see what's going on. The really important one is the big one. That one is for a good friend of mine, and so I'm going to practice on the one I plan to keep. That's usually how I do it. I'll make one that's kind of the scapegoat. It takes all the sins of practice, and then the final project, that gets you know, once I've got my colors worked out and got a sure hand and stuff, then I'll use it. You know, I'll do it then. So here we go. All right. I don't know why. I don't need that up. Maybe that'll help. I'm getting a little bit of a lag on my stream. I'll have to adjust that. Anyhow, I think we're ready to go. So let's put the flag down. Let's see what we come up with. Here's my test. Let's put that aside. This is the part where we're going to start getting smudges and smears and tears. So keep in mind, this is getting weathered. I'm probably going to take it out and shoot a hole in it with my musket when I'm all done. I'm going to stain it. I want to get some, I brought some burnt sienna and some burnt umber and stuff. I may put some, you know, little flecks of rust and, you know, salt damage, you know. I've been working as I've been working on these. I kind of like to imagine how, you know, a history for them and invent a history for them. So I may be putting some of that history in. Whew. Here we go. All right. You know what? While I'm at this place, I said earlier that I wasn't going to cut the mouth opening, but I'm putting this down so you can see. Because I wanted to keep it stable, but I do want to be able to mark this now, so I'm going to do that. In fact, I want to take a look at the teeth because I want to paint those teeth in. They're kind of important, and kind of an easy way to make it look awesome is to get them right, you know. So, are we looking at display? Let me turn that off and you can see what I'm looking at. How many are there? So there's, okay, so we got that space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's the same one to go all the way up. What is going on with my mouse? It's a little weird. Yeah, these are not quite lines. They're ticks, tick marks. So this kind of cuts like right below that point. This comes to a point here, and that's the top of the teeth. So I can almost sketch that on, right? What do you think of that? Lead in this? I think this one's empty. Let me grab my other pencil. You know what? I'll do the teeth later. Let me get this on, and I can see how these look, and then I'll come back for the teeth. Let's do all of this one operation at once. So here we go. What we have is, make sure you can see this. And whew. Like that. Put it this way. And all we got to do now is just kind of, oh, you know what? Yeah, that is a line on there. So, here's something. Get this out of the way. Make some room. All right. Do not want falling off, so I'm going to put a piece of tape on it. I'm just taping the flag to the desk right now, just to keep it from slipping, because trying to pull this way, there's a little more weight down there. Fewer extraneous things that you gotta focus on, when you can concentrate on doing the important stuff. There we go, right? That works. So, towel, and get a little brush here. Who are you? What are you doing? What does he wish? What are you doing? You're purring, that's what you're doing. How are you doing there, Scout? Alright, let's see what we can come up with here. I'm going to, just for a start, I'm just going to try to sketch a little circle here. You know, keep in mind, I'm just getting used to how this feels and how it works. You know, I'm not going to finish this all in one go. I just want to get, you know, keep in mind, I've got 6 skulls to paint, so you know, I'll work out the technique on the first one, hopefully. Oh, I've got to have these. So, and I'm going to try not to get it to soak through too much. I prefer just soak through this first layer, because remember, we have the white fabric, the black fabric, and then the white fabric on the other side. What I want, although it doesn't really matter, you know what, I don't think that that's necessary for this part. I think I can use the bigger brush for this. What I really want is just for it to look cool on all sides. So I'm just going to kind of, can you see that? Yeah. So I'm just kind of brushing across it, kind of working it into the fibers, but I'm not putting a whole lot on, and I'm not trying to get it to, you know, again, I don't want to soak it. You know, ordinarily, I don't care. You know, I'm used to working on a front surface only, right? You don't care what the back of the canvas looks like. So here we go. So this is kind of a brushy stencil-y, right? You know, we're stenciling this essentially at the moment. And this will give me a guide as to what we're doing next. So there we go. And this is just going to be the initial stage of this, and then we'll go through and then we'll make it look cooler. But I think this will already, I think this is going to look cool to begin with. And we start defining this stuff, it should really come to life, so to speak. It is a skull, so it's not really coming, you're going to bring a skull to life, but you know what I mean. All right. Yeah, I'm just kind of stenciling this at the moment. And you can go through, and I can actually paint the edges and define it, you know, I can do some of that painterly stuff, but right now I just want to get it right, roughly in the right place. There we go. Let's try it down here. Just the way this paint's laying on here is pretty nice. The color and the tone of it and stuff. It's going to be pretty rad. I'm pretty excited about this. I wanted to make a pirate flag since I was 8 years old, I think. Maybe younger. Who knows? 6, I guess. Probably 6, because I think I went to Disney World when I was 6 years old. And I'm pretty sure I went to Pirates of the Caribbean, which was just about the greatest thing I'd ever seen at that time, I think. So, this is a dream come true. Very happy to be doing this. All right, so there we go. Got it. Got the eyes, nose, mouth. Just stencil now. I want to do a little bit on the mouth, right? And that can be a line. I'm not really, I want to preserve some of the white there on the line of the mouth, so I'm going to paint that, I think, with the smaller brush. I may need to thin that down to be more like ink rather than just sitting on top, but You know what? I might do that. Maybe I want to try this way. And if this doesn't work, then I'll thin it down with some spirits or I've got a little turpentine over here. But what I'm going to try to do is just sketch a line really lightly. And this is, I mean, it appears on the original. It's sketching, so this will work. But this really is it's the line between the teeth. So once you get this in, then you really are starting to define the whole thing, man. It's kind of cool. It's the upper and lower mandible, and just drawing this on. And then we'll let this stuff dry. I might even take this out in the studio and hit it with a heat gun, get it to dry a little more quickly. And we'll come back in with some more definition and more layers. I'm finishing them tonight, but I want to get them all sketched to this point, and then I'll go back and I don't like doing the whole thing all the way through and then coming back and starting over, because what happens is you invariably will work out solutions to problems as you go, and it's better to there we go. That's exactly what I wanted right there, and voila, that's pretty rad. All right, I'm going to hang this up and admire it and have a smoke and drink some coffee for a minute, and we're going to see what this looks like. I think it's pretty cool. I don't actually care if it smudges or smears, as long as it's not egregious. I don't want to destroy it, but some smudging, smearing, weathering, I don't care. Keeping this loose and fun, and beating it up a little bit is fine by me. But now we're starting to see. Let me turn this on so you can see it. How about that? Would you like to see the flag? My mouse pad. There you go. So there we go. We got the initial stuff sketched in. It's pretty cool, right? I think it's pretty cool. Now we're just going to do that on the other 5 skulls. So that's the start of it. And now, like after that, then we start going in. Like these parts will get deeper and darker. Some of the lightest stuff of there is what I want to use on the shading that defines the below the orbit and the temples and stuff. So. But that's pretty cool. Let me take a look at it from another angle. Yeah, it's pretty rad. I dig it. And I don't think I need to go any lighter than that. I think that for the shadows on the long bones is fine. Maybe even a little darker. That's pretty cool. All right, good. So we got the right stuff. Huzzah! That's pretty cool.
Signifying the Holy Cross was discovered for the King of Portugal by Alvarez Cabral, Anno Domini 1501, extending almost from the equinoctial to 28 degrees south. The air is temperate and cool in comparison of the West Indies, from stronger breezes and an opener country, which gives less interruption to the winds. The northernmost part of it, stretching about 180 leagues, a fine, fertile country, was taken from the Portuguese by the Dutch West India Company, anno 1637 or thereabouts, but the conquerors, as is natural where there is little or no religion subsisting, made such heavy exactions on the Portuguese and extended such cruelty to the natives that prepared them both easily to unite for a revolt, facilitated by the Dutch mismanagement, for the states being at this time very intent on their India settlements, not only recalled Count Maurice, their governor, but neglected supplies to their garrisons. However, though the others were countenanced with a fleet from Portugal, and had the affection of the natives, Yet they found means to withstand and struggle with this superior power from 1643 to 1660.
Oh, rest in peace, Carl
was
Weathers.
wholly abandoned by
God
them
bless you, dude.
on articles dishonourable to the Portuguese, viz. That the Dutch, on relinquishing, should keep all the places they had conquered in India from Portugal, that they should pay the states £800,000 and permit them still the liberty of trade to Africa and Brazil on the same custom and duties with the King of Portugal's subjects. But since that time, new stipulations and treaties have been made, wherein the Dutch, who have been totally excluded the Brazil trade, have, in lieu thereof, a composition of 10% for the liberty of trading to Africa, and this is always left by every Portuguese ship before she begins her slaving with the Dutch General of the Gold Coast at Des Minhas. There are only 3 principal towns of trade on the Brazil coast: San Salvador, San Sebastian, Pernambuco. St. Salvador in the Bahia los Todos Santos is an archbishopric and seat of the Viceroy, the chief port of trade for importation, where most of the gold from the mines is lodged, and whence the fleets for Europe generally depart. The seas about it abound with whalefish, which in the season they catch in great numbers. The flesh is salted up generally to be the victualling of their slave ships, and the train reserved for exportation at 30 and 35 milrays a pipe. Rio Janeiro, the town San Sebastian, is the southernmost of the Portuguese.
Refilling my coffee, and we're going to get back and we're going to stencil all the rest of them.
But commodious for a settlement, because neither nigh and convenient to supervise the slaves who, as I've been told, do usually allow their master $1 per diem and have the overplus of their work, if any, to themselves. The gold from hence is esteemed the best for being of a copperish colour, and they have a mint to run it into coin, both here and at Bahia, the moijos of either having the initial letters of each place upon them. Pernambuco, though mentioned last, is the second in dignity, a large and populous town, and has its rise from the ruins of Olinda, or the Hampson, a city of a far pleasanter situation 6 miles up the river, but not so commodious for traffic and commerce. Just above the town, the river divides itself into 2 branches, not running directly into the sea, but to the southward. And in the nook of the island made by that division stands the governor's house, a square plain building of Prince Maurice's, with 2 towers, on which are only this date inscribed, anno 1641. The avenues to it are every way pleasant, through vistas of tall coconut trees. Over each branch of the river is a bridge. That leading to the country is all of timber, but the other to the town, of 26 or 28 arches, is half of stone, made by the Dutch, who in their time had little shops and gaming houses on each side for recreation. The pavements also of the town are in some places of broad tiles, the remaining fragments of their conquest. The town has the outer branch of the river behind it, and the harbour before it, jetting into which latter are close quays for the weighing and receiving of customage on merchandise, and for the meeting and conferring of merchants and traders. The houses are strong-built but homely, latticed like those of Lisbon, for the admission of air, without closets and, what is worse, hearths, which makes their cookery consist all in frying and stewing upon stoves, and that they do till the flesh become tender enough to shake it to pieces, and 1 knife is then thought sufficient to serve a table of half a score. The greatest inconvenience of Pernambuco is that there is not 1 public house in it, so that strangers are obliged to hire any ordinary one they can get at a guinea a month, and others who come to transact affairs of importance must come recommended, if it were only for the sake of privacy. The market is stocked well enough, beef being at 5 farthings per pound, a sheep or goat at 9 shillings, a turkey 4 shillings, and fowls 2 shillings, the largest I ever saw, and may be procured much cheaper by hiring a man to fetch them out of the country. The dearest in its kind is water, which being fetched in vessels from Olinda, will not be put on board in the road under 2 cruzados a pipe. The Portuguese here are darker than those of Europe, not only from a warmer climate, but their many intermarriages with the Negroes, who are numerous there, and some of them of good credit and circumstances. The women, not unlike the mulatto generation everywhere else, are fond of strangers, not only the courtesans, whose interest may be supposed to wind up their affections, but also the married women, who think themselves obliged, when you favour them with the secrecy of an appointment. But the unhappiness of pursuing a Moors is that the generality of both sexes are touched with venereal taints, without so much as one surgeon among them, or anybody skilled in physic, to cure or palliate the progressive mischief. The only person pretending that way is an Irish father, whose knowledge is all comprehended in the virtues of 2 or 3 simples, and those, with the salubrity of the air and temperance, is what they depend on for subduing the worst of malignity. And it may not be unworthy notice that though few are exempted from the misfortune of a running, eruptions, or the like, yet I could hear of none precipitated into those deplorable circumstances we see common in unskilful mercurial processes. There are 3 monasteries and about 6 churches, none of them rich or magnificent, unless one dedicated to Sant Antonio, the patron of their kingdom, which shines all over with exquisite pieces of paint and gold. The export of Brazil, besides gold, is chiefly sugars and tobacco. The latter are sent off in rolls of a quintal weight, kept continually moistened with molasses, which, with the soil it springs from, imparts a strong and peculiar scent, more sensible than the snuff made from it, which, though under prohibition of importing to Lisbon, sells here at 2 shillings per pound, as the tobacco does at about 6 merais a roll. The finest of their sugars sells at 8 shillings per rood, and a small ill-tasted rum drawn from the dregs of molasses at 2 testones a gallon. Besides these, they send off great quantities of Brazil wood and whale oil, some gums and parrots. The latter are different from the African in colour and bigness, for as they are blue and larger, these are green and smaller, and the females of them ever retain the wild note and cannot be brought to talk. In lieu of this produce, the Portuguese, once every year by their fleet from Lisbon, import all manner of European commodities, and whoever is unable or negligent of supplying himself at that season buys at a very advanced rate before the return of another. To transport passengers, slaves, or merchandise from one settlement to another, or in fishing, they make use of bark logs, by the Brazilians called fingadas. They are made of 4 pieces of timber, the 2 outermost longest, pinned and fastened together and sharpened at the ends. Towards each extremity, a stool is fixed to sit on for paddling, or holding by, when the agitation is more than ordinary. With these odd sort of engines, continually washed over by the water, do these people, with a little triangular sail spreaded about the middle of it, venture out of sight of land, and along the coasts for many leagues in any sort of weather, and if they overset with a squall, which is not uncommon, they swim, and presently turn it upright again. The natives are of the darkest copper colour, with thin hair, of a square, strong make, and muscular, but not so well looking as the woolly generation. They acquiesce patiently to the Portuguese government, who use them much more humanly and Christian-like than the Dutch did, and by that means have extended quietness and peace, as well as their possessions, 300 or 400 miles into the country. A country abounding with fine pastures and numerous herds of cattle, and yields a vast increase from everything that is so. Hence they bring down to us parrots, small monkeys, armadillos, and sanguines, and I have been assured they have, far inland, a serpent of a vast magnitude, called Cebolla, able, they say, to swallow a whole sheep. I have seen myself here the skin of another species full 6 yards long, and therefore think the story not improbable. The harbour of Pernambuco is, perhaps, singular. It is made of a ledge of rocks, half a cable's length from the main, and but little above the surface of the water, running at that equal distance and height several leagues, towards Cape Augustine, a harbour running between them capable of receiving ships of the greatest burthen. The northernmost end of this wall of rock is higher than any part of the contiguous line, on which a little fort is built, commanding the passage either of boat or ship, as they come over the bar into the harbour. On the starboard side, that is the main, after you have entered a little way, stands another fort, a pentagon, that would prove of small account, I imagine, against a few disciplined men, and yet, in these, consists all their strength and security, either for the harbour or town. They have begun indeed a wall, since their removing from Olinda, designed to surround the latter, but the slow progress they make in raising it leaves room to suspect it will be a long time in finishing. The road without is used by the Portuguese, when they are nigh sailing for Europe, and wait for the convoy, or are bound to buy to them, and by strangers only when necessity compels. The best of it is in 10-fathom water, near 3 miles west-northwest from the town. Nigher in is foul with the many anchors lost there by the Portuguese ships, and farther out in 14-fathom, corally and rocky. July is the worst and winter season of this coast, the trade winds being then very strong and dead, bringing in a prodigious and unsafe swell into the road, intermixed every day with squalls, rain, and a hazy horizon, but at other times serener skies and sunshine. In these southern latitudes is a constellation, which from some resemblance it bears to a Jerusalem cross, has the name of Croziers, the brightest of this hemisphere, and are observed by, as the North Star is in northern latitudes. But what I mention this for is to introduce the admirable phenomenon in these seas of the Magellanic clouds, whose risings and sittings are so regular that I have been assured the same nocturnal observations are made by them as by the stars. They are 2 clouds, small and whitish, no larger in appearance than a man's hat, and are seen here in July in the latitude of 88 degrees south, about 4 o'clock in the morning. If their appearance should be said to be the reflection of light from some stellary bodies above them, yet the difficulty is not easily answered, how these, beyond others, become so durable and regular in their motions. From these casual observations on the country, the towns, coast, and seas of Brazil, it would be an omission to leave the subject without some essay on an interloping slave trade here, which none of our countrymen are adventurous enough to pursue, though it very probably, under a prudent manager, would be attended with safety and very great profit. And I admire the more it is not struck at, because ships from the southern coast of Africa don't lengthen the voyage to the West Indies a great deal by taking a part of Brazil in their way. The disadvantages the Portuguese are under for purchasing slaves are these, that they have very few proper commodities for Guinea, and the gold, which was their chiefest by an edict in July 1722, stands now prohibited from being carried thither, so that the ships employed therein are few, and insufficient for the great mortality and call of their minds. Besides, should they venture at breaking so destructive a law as the above mentioned, as no doubt they do, or they could make little or no purchase, yet gold does not raise its value like merchandise in travelling, especially to Africa, and when the composition with the Dutch is also paid, they may be said to buy their negroes at almost double the price the English, Dutch, or French do, which necessarily raises their value extravagantly at Brazil. Those who can purchase one, buying a certain annuity than South Sea stock. Thus far of the call for slaves of Brazil. I shall now consider and obviate some difficulties objected against any foreigners, suppose English, interposing in such a trade, and they are some on theirs and some on our side. On their side it is prohibited under pain of death, a law less effectual to the prevention of it than pecuniary munix would be, because a penalty so inadequate and disproportioned is only in terrorem, and makes it merciful in the governor or his instruments to take a composition of 8 or 10 modules when any subject is catched, and is the common custom so to do as often as they are found out. On our side it is confiscation of what they can get, which, considering they have no men of war to guard the coast, need be very little, without supine neglect and carelessness. I am a man of war or privateer, and being in want of provisions or in search of pirates, put into Pernambuco for intelligence, to enable me for the pursuit. The dread of pirates keeps everyone off, till you have first sent an officer with the proper compliments to the governor, who immediately gives leave for your buying every necessary you are in want of, provided it be with money, and not an exchange of merchandise, which is against the laws of the country. On this first time of going on shore depends the success of the whole affair, and requires a cautious and discreet management in the person entrusted. He will be immediately surrounded at landing with the great and the small rabble, to inquire who and whence he comes, and whether bound, etc., and the men are taught to answer, from Guinea, deny anything of a slave on board, which are under hatches, and make no show, nor need they, for those who have money to lay out will conclude on that themselves. By that time the compliment is paid to the governor, the news has spread all round the town, and some merchant addresses you as a stranger to the civility of his house, but privately desires to know what negroes he can have, and what price. a governor may possibly use an instrument in sifting this, but the appearance of the gentleman and the circumstance of being so soon engaged after leaving the other will go a great way in forming a man's judgment, and leaves him no room for the suspicion of such a snare. However, to have a due guard, intimations will suffice and bring him, and friends enough to carry off the best part of a cargo in 2 nights' time, from 20 to 30 moidios a boy, and from 30 to 40 a manslave. The hazard is less at Rio Janeiro. There has been another method attempted of settling a correspondence with some Portuguese merchant or two, who, as they may be certain within a fortnight of any vessels arriving on their coast with slaves, might settle signals for the debarking them at an unfrequented part of the coast, but whether any exceptions were made to the price, or that the Portuguese dread discovery and the severest prosecution on so notorious a breach of the law, I cannot tell, but it has hitherto proved abortive. However, stratagems laudable and attended with profit, at no other hazard as I can perceive than loss of time, are worth attempting. It is what is every day practised with the Spaniards from Jamaica. End of Chapter 9, Part 2. Recording by Kate Mackenzie. Chapter 9, Part 3 of the General History of the Pirates, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Kate Mackenzie. The General History of the Pirates, Volume 1, by Charles Johnson. Chapter 9, Part 3. Upon this coast our rovers cruised for about 9 weeks, keeping generally out of sight of land, but without seeing a sail, which discouraged them so that they determined to leave the station and steer for the West Indies, and in order thereto stood in to make the land for the taking of their departure, and thereby they fell in unexpectedly with a fleet of 42 sail of Portuguese ships off the bay of Os Todos Santos, with all their lading in for Lisbon, several of them of good force, who lay to waiting for 2 men of war of 70 guns each, their convoy. However, Roberts thought it should go hard with him, but he would make up his market among them, and thereupon mixed with the fleet, and kept his men hid till proper resolutions could be formed. That done, they came close up to one of the deepest, and ordered her to send the master on board quietly, threatening to give them no quarters if any resistance or signal of distress was made. The Portuguese, being surprised at these threats, and the sudden flourish of cutlasses from the pirates, submitted without a word, and the captain came on board.
All right.
Roberts saluted him after a friendly manner, telling him that they were gentlemen of fortune, but that their business with him was only to be informed which was the richest ship in
Okay,
the
the light's getting weird. I need to.
if he directed them right, he should be restored to his ship without molestation. Otherwise, he must expect immediate death. Whereupon this Portuguese master pointed to one of 40 guns and 150 men, a ship of greater force than the Rover, but this
Hello, little cat.
was to slay them. They mere Portuguese.
What are you doing?
they
Where's
said,
your ball?
and so immediately steered away for him. When they came within hail, the master whom they had prisoner was ordered to ask how Signor Capitani did, and to invite him on board.
I like having
Two of
the
them were offering themselves
tape
for
up here, so
evidences
maybe I'll
were
put that
accepted
on.
of, and the others were brought to a speedy trial, whereof 9 were convicted and executed.
here. So,
Kennedy,
there.
having
Hope
spent
you can
all
see
his
that.
money, came over from Ireland
Right.
and kept a common
Pipe down,
boarding house on
Mrs.
Deptford Road.
Miss Mackenzie. All right, where is my skull? More skulls. So this first layer is just going to be just this light stencil, and then I'll go back in and I'll do the detail shadowing. But this gets it right where it needs to be, and then we can go in with the the proper shading, and we got to paint all the teeth. It'll be cool.
And now and then, 'twas thought, made an excursion
Just going
abroad
light
and away of
on
his
here,
former profession,
and I think by doing this it's
his
not
household
bleeding
wenches
through. I
gave
didn't notice any bleed
information
through on the
against
other
him
one.
for a robbery,
I'm just kind of
for
working
which
it
he
into
was
the
committed
fibers
to
of the
Bridewell. But because she
fibers
would
of the
not
thing,
do
and I can
business
also
by
thin it a
halves,
bit with
she
turpentine
found out
and
a mate
or
of a
mineral
ship that
spirits or
Kennedy had
something
committed
light. I
piracy
don't want to make
upon,
it too thin
as he
so it's
foolishly
soaks in, but
confessed to
just
her.
thin enough to
This
keep
lady,
it
whose
moving,
name was
you know.
Grant, paid Kennedy a visit in
Just put it
Bridewell,
across the
and
top,
knowing
and
him to be the
then just work it into the
procured a
fibers.
warrant, and had him committed
because like I said before, it's kind of fuzzy on the top.
The game that Kennedy had now to play was to turn
And
evidence himself.
I think the original fabric was a
Accordingly,
bit
he gave a list of 8 or 10 of
smoother.
his comrades, but not being acquainted with their habitations, one only was taken.
When they painted it, just by the appearance of it, I don't know that for a fact. I'm just looking at it. It seems like it might have been a little like a smoother cotton. This is cotton too, but
Kennedy, being a notorious offender, was executed the 19th of July, 1721, at Execution Dock. The rest of the pirates who were left on the ship Rover stayed not long behind, for they went ashore to one of the West India
it's gonna be kind
islands.
of cool, man.
What became of them afterwards?
These rad
I
pirate
can't tell.
flags.
But
Now we have to go
the ship was
pirating.
found at sea by a sloop belonging to St. Christopher's.
Sadly,
and
there's no more
carried into
pirating.
that island with only 9
Well,
Negroes aboard.
there is, but you have to be a Somali,
Thus
apparently,
we
or
see
Chinese.
what
I think they have a lot of
disastrous ever
pirates
attempts the
over in
wicked,
East Asia.
and how rarely they escape the punishment
The
due
Oriental
to a
pirates
crime.
are still in action.
Abandoned to such a profligate
You should probably look that up. There's probably
life,
like a UN report on
prey
piracy
upon
around the world that you
contrary
can
to the
check
light
out
of
and see
law
how
of
many
nature
incidents
as well
there
as
are.
the law of God. It might have been hoped that the examples
It's
of
kind
these
of
acts
amazing
would
to
have
me,
been
like,
as
you know, we
marks
got
to the remainder of this gang how to shun the
technology
laws their
that
companions
the
had
Royal
spied
Navy
on,
never
that
dreamed
they
of
would have
in
surrendered
the
to
18th
mercy
century.
or divided themselves
And yet
forever
today
from
there are
such
still
pursuits,
cargo ships
as
held
in the
for
end
ransom.
they
And,
might be sure would subject them to the
you know, it's
same
just,
law
it's
and
amazing.
punishment which they must be conscious they now equally deserved. Impending law,
You never
which
imagined,
never
you know,
let them
over
see
the
well
horizon,
unless when drunk.
you know, radar and
But
satellite tracking,
all the
and then
use that was made
let
of
alone
it
the weaponry we
was
have
to
today.
commend
And you
the
can
justice of the
demolish.
court that condemned
You know,
Kennedy.
it's not like
For he was a sad dog, they said.
you know,
and
you have to be
deserved
in
the fate
range,
he
you know,
met with.
cannon range of a ship anymore. You know, they can
Part 3, read by Kate
fire
Mackenzie.
missiles over the horizon and take out a ship that can just so
Chapter 9, Part
different,
4
such a
of the
different
General
era.
History of the Pirates, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain.
A pirate
For more
looks at
information
40
or to
as a-
volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Kate
Would be
Mackenzie.
appropriate for this time, but
The
I
General History
don't
of
want
the
to play it and
Pirates,
get a
Volume
channel
1
for it,
by
you know,
Charles
get my
Johnson.
channel
Chapter 9,
in trouble.
Part 4.
So.
But to go
Oh, that
back
reminds
to
me, I have
Robert,
to solve that
when
problem.
we
I
left on the coast
was
of Guyana,
listening to someone
in a
else's
grievous passion
live
of
stream
what
last
Kennedy
night,
and the crew had done,
and he
was
played a
now
song
projecting new
just for a
adventures
minute or
with
two,
his
and
small company in the sloop. But
YouTube sends
finding
robots in,
hitherto they had been but as a rope
and
of sand,
they heard it on my stream, so my whole stream got
to be signed and
dinged
sworn
for
to
copyright
the better
violation. So I've got
conservation
to
of their society, and doing
find
justice
some way
to
to
one another,
edit that out.
excluding all
But my stream is too
Irishmen
long to
from the
easily
benefit
edit
of
it, so I'm gonna have
to whom
to
they had
do a bit of work. But I'm gonna
remarkable
do that because I want
aversion from the
all this to be
Kennedy.
available. This whole project,
How indeed
this
Robert
and the
could
tent
think that
project.
an oath would be
And I think that's
obligatory
what I'm
when
going to be doing
defiance
for
had been
all of
given
them.
to the laws of God and man, I
Hey,
can't
Kate,
tell. But he
pipe down. So I think what I'm going to do is when I'm done with this project, then I'm going to, I've got a couple days of slack time before my next thing begins. And what I'm going to do, I think, that's nice. Now let's do the crisp mouth line. Paint the teeth. I think what I'm going to do is put, I'm going to use OBS to basically replay my live stream, and I'm just going to manually, and it's going to be tedious, but I'm going to edit out the stuff that ought to be there, and all the breaks and things. Like I'm just going to edit these streams down to the essentials of what I'm doing. You know, you want to make a pirate flag, here's a little bit of the history of it, here's a little bit of the construction of it, and here are all the steps you need to do one. So if you want to make a pirate flag, here's how. Or a Revolutionary War tent, or and I have a stream series coming up. I have a bunch of jackets and blue jeans and things that have, like, you know, holes in the knees and in the elbows of the jackets, and you know, stuff like that. I'm going to do a stream of, check it out. It's pretty rad. That looks great. I love it. Okay. You know what I want to do? I'm getting a little bit of more bleed than I want on there. That is, the black is kind of going over the edge where I like it. So I'm going to put a paper towel down. Let me put this over here so it doesn't smudge. We'll let this set for a few minutes. And then I'm going to edit the videos down to to just the essentials and some of the history and make them watchable and interesting for people. In fact, I think maybe I'll do that tomorrow, because I'm going to be, these will be done tonight. So I think tomorrow, I said earlier, oh, I'll finish this up and I'll take tomorrow off, because I haven't had a day off in a while, but I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to go through and I'm going to edit the Revolutionary War tents series and the Pirate Flag series. I'm going to produce 2 videos. Here we go. This is the big important one. Before I do this, I'm going to lay these out, paper towels. I've got some, got my skulls here, and I'm going to wipe this down just to get the excess paint off of this, so it doesn't go where I don't want it. You know? Anyhow, I'm going to edit down the my videos so that, you know, if you want to know something about Revolutionary War tents or how to make a tent from any era in linen, well, you can learn that in 20 minutes or so without having to sit through 20 hours of construction. You know, and I'll do the same for the pirate flags. Because a lot of these techniques apply to anything. You know, it doesn't have to be a pirate flag. It doesn't have to be a Revolutionary War tent. It can be, you know, any era. And it can be any design flag. I mean, the principles apply to any shapes or colors you put on. So, you know, and the design of the tent doesn't have to be specifically the one I used. You can, you know, make a Roman one. Somebody was just telling me the other day that Saul, I think later Paul, in the Bible, supported himself making leather tents. Well, I didn't know that, or maybe at one time I knew it, but I'd forgotten it. I don't know. But you know, so tent making is an ancient and honorable trade, and always useful. So here's that. Let's take this. I want a couple pieces of tape just so that it doesn't pull, especially on this one because this is kind of heavy. We're going to let this drape down here. So here's our big skull. This is the big Mamma Jamma. Actually, yeah. So I'm just going to lock it down with a little bit of painter's tape. And you don't need much. This is just to keep it from doing unexpected stuff. You know, we just don't want it moving around too much without direction. So there we go. All right. So now we got the big template. Lay it upon the skull. Oh, this is gonna look so cool. And here we go. So just working this in. Anyway, all right, let's get back to the general history of the pirates.
But their greatest security lay in this, that it was everyone's interest to observe them if they were minded to keep up so abominable a combination. The following is the substance of the articles, as taken from the pirates' own informations.
Ooh,
Number 1.
the articles.
Every man has a vote.
So this was the contract they signed when they decided to become a pirate and join the crew.
Or strong liquors at any time seized, and use them at pleasure, unless a scarcity, no uncommon thing among them, make it necessary for the good of all to vote a retrenchment.
Why is the drum gone?
2. Every man to be called fairly in turn by list on board of prizes because, over and above their proper share, they were on these occasions allowed a shift of clothes. But if they defrauded the company to the value of $1 in plate, jewels, or money, marooning was their punishment.
Dang,
This
they're
was
strict.
The barbarous custom of putting the offender on shore on some desolate or uninhabited cape or island, with a gun, a few shot, a bottle of water, and a bottle of powder, to subsist with or starve. If the robbery was only between one another, they contented themselves with slitting the ears and nose of him that was guilty, and set him on shore, not in an uninhabited place, but somewhere where he was sure to encounter hardships. Number 3. No person to game at cards or dice for money. Number 4. The lights and candles to be put out at 8 o'clock at night. If any of the crew after that hour still remained inclined for drinking, they were to do it on the open deck, which Roberts believed would give a check to their debauches, for he was a sober man himself, but found at length that all his endeavours to put an end to this debauch proved ineffectual. Number 5. To keep their piece, pistols, and cutlass clean and fit for service. In this they were extravagantly nice, endeavouring to outdo one another in the beauty and richness of their arms, giving sometimes at an auction at the mast £30 or £40 a pair for pistols. These were slung in time of service, with different coloured ribbons over their shoulders, in a way peculiar to these fellows, in which they took great delight. Number 6. No boy or woman to be allowed amongst them. If any man were found seducing any of the latter sex, and carried her to sea disguised, he was to suffer death, so that when any fell into their hands, as it chanced in the Onslow, they put a sentinel immediately over her to prevent ill consequences from so dangerous an instrument of division and quarrel. But then here lies the roguery. They contend who shall be sentinel, which happens generally to one of the greatest bullies, who, to secure the lady's virtue, will let none lie with her but himself. Number 7. To desert the ship or their quarters in battle was punished with death or marooning. Number 8. No striking one another on board, but every man's quarrels to be ended on shore, at sword and pistol. Thus, the quartermaster of the ship, when the parties will not come to any reconciliation, accompanies them on shore with what assistance he thinks proper, and turns the disputants back to back at so many paces distance. At the word of command, they turn and fire immediately, or else the piece is knocked out of their hands. If both
So there's no
miss,
waiting to
they
aim.
cut their
It's
cutlasses.
you get that
Then
shot
he
off
is
or
declared
you lose
victor
your shot.
who draws the first blood.
Cool.
Number 9. No man to talk of breaking up their way of living till each had a share of £1,000. If in order to this any man should lose a limb or become a cripple in their service,
There's some early
he was to have $800
workman's
and for public
compensation.
stock, and for lesser hurts proportionably. Number 10. The captain and quartermaster to receive 2 shares of a prize. The master, boatswain, and gunner 1 share and a half, and other officers 1 1/4. Number 11. The musicians to have rest on the Sabbath day, but the other 6 days and nights none without special favour. These, we are assured, were some of Roberts's articles, but as they had taken care to throw overboard the original they had signed and sworn to, there was a great deal of room to suspect the remainder contained something too horrid to be disclosed to any, except
Little
such as were
creative
willing to
editing to
share
make
in the
themselves look
iniquity
better,
of it.
maybe.
Let them be what they will,
Okay,
they were
let's go to
together
the
the
teeth.
test of all newcomers who were initiated by an oath taken
Oh
on the
shit!
Bible,
I didn't
reserved for that
cut the
purpose
teeth
only,
on this one,
and
so
was
let's see that
subscribed to
now.
the presence of the worshipful Mr.
But that looks
Roberts.
pretty rad.
And in case any doubt should arise,
But I have to move this out of the
concerning
way so I
construction
can
of
do
these
the.
laws, and it should remain a dispute whether the
you know what I
party
do?
infringed them or
Let me
no,
protect
a
this
jury is appointed to explain them
by doing
and
that.
bring in a verdict upon the case in doubt.
Let's just
Since
get
we
this
are now
out of the way
speaking of the laws
for a
of this
moment.
country, I shall go on and, in as brief a manner as I can, relate the principal customs and government of this roguish commonwealth, which are pretty near the same with all pirates. For the punishment
Hello,
of
cat.
small offences, which are not provided for by the articles, and which are not of consequence enough to be left to a jury, there is a principal officer among the pirates, called the quartermaster, the men's own choosing, who claims all authority this way, excepting in time of battle.
I don't want to tear it.
If they disobey his command, are quarrelsome and mutinous with one another, misuse prisoners, plunder beyond his order, and in particular, if they be negligent of their arms, which he musters at discretion, he punishes at his own arbitrament, with drubbing or whipping.
So now we're
which
going
no
to
one
take
else dare do,
the Exacto
without
again.
incurring the
And
lash
I
from all the ship's
forgot
company.
earlier to cut
In
this
short,
smile,
this
so we're
officer
going to
is
do that
trustee
right
for the
now.
whole,
And then I can draw
is the
that
first
line.
on board any prize, separating for the company's use what he pleases, and returning what he thinks fit to the
And that's
owners,
all we need right there.
excepting gold and silver, which they
Easy.
have voted not returnable.
Okay.
After a description of the quartermaster and his
Let's
duty,
replace
who
the
acts
flag.
as a sort of civil magistrate on board a pirate ship, I shall consider their military officer, the captain. What
There we go.
privileges he exerts in such anarchy and unruliness for the members, why, truly very little. They only permit him to be a captain on condition that they may be captain over him. They separate to his use the great cabin, and sometimes vote him small parcels of plate and china, for it may be noted that Roberts drank his tea constantly, but, Then every man, as the humour takes him, will use the plate and china, intrude into his apartment, swear at him, seize a part of his victuals and drink if they like it, without his offering to find fault or contest.
Sounds like fun.
Yet Roberts, by a better management than usual, became the chief director in everything of moment, and it happened thus. The rank of captain being obtained by the suffrage of the majority, it falls on one superior for knowledge and boldness, pistol-proof, as they call it, and can make those fear who do not love him. Roberts is said to have exceeded his fellows in these respects, and, when advanced, enlarged the respect that followed it, by making a sort of privy council of half a dozen of the greatest bullies, such as were his competitors, and had interest enough to make his government easy. Yet even those, in the latter part of his reign, he had run counter to in every project that opposed his own opinion, for which, and because he grew reserved,
there we go. That's that. So let's go to another side. And actually, this one I could just flip over and you can just go. I might let this soak for a couple of minutes. So let me go back to the first one. And hopefully that's set in a little bit. And maybe it's a little less likely to.
Mostly as he approves of their behaviour, for though the meanest would take upon them to misuse a master rulership, yet
again, I don't care if it does a little bit. I want some of that. If it doesn't naturally or accidentally, I'm going to do some on purpose.
First, that it preserved his precedence, and secondly,
here.
that it took the punishment out of the hands of a much more rash and mad set of fellows than himself. When he found that rigour was not expected from his people, for he often practised it to appease them, then he would give strangers to understand that it was pure inclination that induced him to a good treatment of them, and not any love or partiality to their persons. For, says he, there is none of you but will hang me, I know, whenever you can clinch me within your power. And now, seeing the disadvantages they were under for pursuing the account, viz., a small vessel ill prepared, and without provisions or stores, they resolved, one and all, with the little supplies they could get, to proceed to the West Indies, not doubting to find a remedy for all these evils, and to retrieve their loss. In the latitude of Desega, one of the islands, they took 2 sloops, which supplied them with provisions and other necessaries, and a few days afterwards took a brigantine belonging to Rhode Island, and then proceeded to Barbados, off of which island they fell in with a vessel ship with 10 guns, in her voyage alone, from whom they took abundance of clothes, some money, 25 bales of goods, 5 barrels of powder, a cable, hawser, 10 casks of oatmeal, 6 casks of beef, and several other goods, besides 5 of their men. And after they had detained her 3 days, let her go, who being bound for the abovesaid island, she acquainted the governor with what had happened as soon as she arrived. Whereupon a Bristol galley that lay in the harbour was ordered to be fitted out with all imaginable expedition of 20 guns and 80 men, there being then no man of war upon that station, and also a sloop with 10 guns and 40 men. The galley was commanded by one Captain Rogers of Bristol, and the sloop by Captain Graves of that island, and Captain Rogers, by commission from the governor, was appointed commodore. The second day after Rogers sailed out of the harbour, he was discovered by Roberts, who, knowing nothing of their design, gave them chase. The Barbados ships kept an easy sail till the pirates came up with them, and then Roberts gave them a gun, expecting they would have immediately struck to his piratical flag, but instead thereof, he was forced to receive the fire of a broadside with 3 huzzas at the same time, so that an engagement ensued, but Roberts, being hardly put to it, was obliged to crowd all the sail the sloop would bear to get off. The galley, sailing pretty well, kept company for a long while, keeping a constant fire which galed the pirate. However, at length, by throwing over their guns and other heavy goods, and thereby lightening the vessel, they with much ado got clear. But Roberts could never endure a Barbados man afterwards, and when any ships belonging to that island fell in his way, he was more particularly severe to them than others. Captain Roberts sailed in a sloop to the island of Dominica, where he watered and got provisions of the inhabitants, to whom he gave goods in exchange. At this place he met with 13 Englishmen, who had been set ashore by a French Garde de la Coste, belonging to Martinique, taken out of 2 New England ships that had been seized as prize by the said French sloop. The men willingly entered with the pirates, and it proved a seasonable recruit. They stayed not long here, though they had immediate occasion for cleaning their sloop, but did not think this a proper place, and herein they judged right, for the touching at this island had like to have been their destruction, because they having resolved to go away to the Grenada Islands for the aforesaid purpose, by some accident it came to be known to the French colony, who, sending word to the governor of Martinique, he equipped and manned 2 sloops to go in quest of them. The pirates sailed directly for the Grenadillos, and hauled into a lagoon at Corvocool, where they cleaned with unusual dispatch, staying but a little above a week, by which expedition they missed of the Martinique sloops only a few hours, Robert sailing overnight, though the French arrived the next morning. This was a fortunate escape, especially considering that it was not from any fear of their being discovered that they made so much haste from the island, but as they had the impudence themselves to own, for the want of wine and women. Thus narrowly escaped, they sailed for Newfoundland, and arrived upon the banks the latter end of June 1720. They entered the harbour of Trepassey, with their black colours flying, drums beating, and trumpets sounding. There were 22 vessels in the harbour, which the men all quitted upon the sight of the pirate, and fled ashore. It is impossible particularly to recount the destruction and havoc they made here, burning and sinking all the shipping, except a Bristol galley, and destroying the fisheries and stages of the poor planters, without remorse or compunction. For nothing is so deplorable as power in mean and ignorant hands. It makes men wanton and giddy, unconcerned at the misfortunes they are imposing on their fellow creatures, and keeps them smiling at the mischiefs that bring themselves to no advantage. They are like madmen that cast firebrands, arrows, and death, and say, "Are not we in sport?" Roberts manned the Bristol galley he took in the harbour, and mounting 16 guns on board her, and, cruising out upon the banks, he met with 9 or 10 sail of French ships, all which he destroyed, except one of 26 guns, which they seized and carried off for their own use. This ship they christened the Fortune, and leaving the Bristol galley to the Frenchmen, they sailed away in company with the sloop on another cruise, and took several prizes, viz. The Richard of Bideford, Jonathan Whitfield, master, the Willing Mind of Poole, the Expectation of Topsham, and the Samuel, Captain Carey of London. Out of these ships they increased their company by entering all the men they could well spare in their own service. The Samuel was a rich ship, and had several passengers on board who were used very roughly in order to make them discover their money, threatening them every moment with death if they did not resign everything up to them. They tore up the hatches and entered the hold like a parcel of furies, and with axes and cutlasses.
They entered the hold like a parcel of furies.
Pails, cases, and boxes
That's a
they
very
laid
good
their hands
phrase.
on. And when any goods came upon deck that they did not like to carry aboard, instead of tossing them into the hold again, threw them overboard into the sea.
You jerks.
All this was done with incessant cursing and swearing, more like fiends than men. They carried with them sails,
So
guns,
here
powder,
we want-
cordage, and 8 or 9,000 pounds worth of choicest goods,
No,
and
it's
told
this
Captain
one.
Carey
Right.
that they should
Go this
accept
way.
of no act of grace, that the king
Hello?
and peace might be down
Come
with
to
the
here.
acts of God for them.
Wanna come
Neither
through?
would they go to Hog Point to be hanged in the sun drying as kids and Bravish's company were, but if they should ever be overpowered, they would set fire to the powder with a pistol.
Okay,
and go
here we go.
never
We're
into
gonna do the
hell
other side of
again.
this one now.
After they had brought all
Hi,
the
Maru.
aboard, a consultation was held whether they should sink or
Hi
burn
there.
the ship. But whilst they were debating
What do you
the
know?
matter, they spied a sail, and so left the Samuel to give a chase. At midnight, they came up with the same, which proved to be a snow from
What do you
Bristol,
know, Maru?
and for Boston,
What do you know
Captain
there,
Ball's
Maru?
master. They used him
Hello?
barbarously because of his
Hello?
country. Captain Rogers, who
What is
attacked
it?
them off Barbados, being of the city of Bristol. July the 16th, which was 2 days afterwards, they took a Virginia man called the Little York, James Phillips' master, and the Love of Liverpool, which they plundered and let go. The next day, a snow from Bristol, called the Phoenix, John Richard's master,
There we go.
met with the same fate from them. As
Turn
also a
across
brigantine,
here.
Captain Thomas, and a sloop called the Sudbury. They took all the men out of the brigantine and sunk the vessel. When they left the banks of Newfoundland, they sailed for the West Indies, and the provisions growing short, they went for the latitude of the island of Seda, to cruise, it being esteemed the likeliest place to meet with such ships as they used in their mirth to
After
say,
this, we're going to get
Roman
this
signs that
first
they
layer
would
on. This
supply.
is just, I'm just
And it has
stenciling
been
on
very
all
much
the gray
suspected that
for
ships have
the
been
major
provisioned in
forms.
the English colonies
And
on
once this is
pretense
done,
of
then I'm
trading
going
on
to
the
just
coast
look
of
at the
Africa,
picture
when they
and
have in reality been
shadow it
concerned to them. And though a
to,
show of violence is offered to them when they meet, yet they are pretty sure of bringing
follow
their
what they
cargo
did
to a good
originally.
market. However,
That's when we
at
do the
this
real
time, they
artist
mix with
stuff,
their usual look,
the real
and
fancy stuff.
provisions and necessaries
It's not that
becoming more
fancy.
scarce every day,
Oh,
they retired
you don't need to
towards
see the
St.
top of my
Christopher's,
head. You want to see
where,
what I'm doing,
being
right?
denied all succor or assistance from the government, they fired in revenge on the town and burnt 2 ships in the road.
So I'm just stenciling this on here,
By Captain Cox of
and
Bristol,
then
and then retreated farther to the island of St. Bartholomew, where they met with much handsomer treatment. The governor not only supplying them with refreshments, but he and the chiefs caressing them in the most friendly manner. And the women, from so good an example, endeavoured to outvie each other in dress and behaviour to attract the good graces of such generous lovers that paid well for their favours. End of chapter 9, part 4.
okay. So there we are. Yeah, that's good. Oh, well, we cancel. We've done that. That's the first one. Now we need the other. That's part 1 of 2. Where's part 2 of 2? Here we go. Let's listen to that. And we're at 31%. I'm going to charge my main phone first. Okay, so. And that's that. Another one down. So let's put this aside for a moment. And we'll get, we'll hang this up. And then we'll do, oh shit, I forgot to do the mouth. Let's do that too. I want to go through, before I get too far, I want to do the, go ahead and draw the teeth in. And I think it's funny that they drew all the teeth in. I mean, it makes sense. It looks like they, I suspect they used a real skull of one of their enemies as the model when they were drawing the original. I don't have any evidence for that. I just think it's cool to think so. That's just what I like to think. Yeah.
Chapter 9, Part 5 of the General History of the Pirates, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Kate Mackenzie.
Hello, Kate
The
Mackenzie.
General History of the
Thank you for your
Pirates,
service to
Volume 1
LibriVox
by
recording
Charles Johnson.
of
Chapter 9,
the General
Part 5.
History of the Pirates. All right, that's the one.
Sated at length with these pleasures, and
Look at
having
that.
taken
There's-
aboard a good supply of fresh provisions,
There's one
they
side, there's
voted
the other.
unanimously for the
Right.
coast of Guinea, and in the latitude of 22 degrees north in their voyage thither, met with a French ship from Martinique, richly laden and, which was unlucky for the master, had a property of being fitter for their purpose than the banker. Exchange was no robbery, they said, and so after a little mock complaisance to
one.
Monsieur for the
So
favour
we're just
he
going
had
to let
done
these
them,
hang and
they shifted their
paint them
bed
as we
until
go.
leave. This was their first royal fortune. In this ship, Roberts proceeded on his design voyage, but before they
take,
reached Guinea, he proposed to touch at Brava, the
this down a
southernmost
bit.
of Cape Verde
There we go.
Islands, and clean. But here again, by
Starting with,
intolerable
we got this side
stupidity
done,
and
now
want
we're
of
going to do
judgment,
the other.
they got so far to leeward of their port
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
that, despairing to regain it or any of the windward parts of Africa, they were obliged to go
this
back
on.
again with the trade wind for the West Indies, which had very near been the destruction of them all. Suriname was the place now designed for, which was at no less than 700 leagues distance, and they had but one hogshead of water left to supply 124 souls for that passage. A sad circumstance that eminently exposes the folly and madness among pirates, and he must be an inconsiderate wretch indeed who, if he could separate the wickedness and punishment from the fact, would yet hazard his life amidst such dangers as their want of skill and forecast made them liable to. Their sins, we may presume, were never so troublesome to their memories as now that inevitable destruction seemed to threaten them, without the least glimpse of comfort or alleviation to their misery. For, with what face could wretches who had ravaged and made so many necessitous look up for relief? They had to that moment lived in defiance of the power that now alone they must trust for their preservation. And
Providence.
Indeed, without the miraculous intervention of Providence,
Oh.
there appeared only this miserable choice, viz., a present death by their own hands, or a lingering one by famine. They continued their course, and came to an allowance of one single mouthful of water for 24 hours. Many of them drank their urine, or sea water, which, instead of allaying, gave them an inextinguishable thirst that killed them. Others pined and wasted a little more time in fluxes and aporexies, so that they dropped away daily. Those that sustained the misery best were such as almost starved themselves, forbearing all sorts of food, unless a mouthful or two of bread the whole day, so that those who survived were as weak as it was possible for men to be and alive. But if the dismal prospect they set out with gave them anxiety, trouble, or pain, what must their fears and apprehensions be when they had not one drop of water left, or any other liquor to moisten or animate? This was their case when, by the working of divine providence, no doubt,
There we go.
they were brought into
Now the
sight,
mouth.
and at night anchored in 7-fathom water. This
Let's put a
was
smile
an
on that skull of
inexpressible
yours.
joy to them, and, as it were, fed the expiring lamp of life with fresh spirits. But this could not hold long. When the morning came, they saw land from the masthead, but it was at so great a distance that it afforded but an indifferent prospect to men who had drunk nothing for the 2 last days.
There we go.
However, they
That's
dispatched
that.
their boat away, and late the same night it returned to
Nothing
their
to
boastful comfort with a load of
So we
water,
got this.
informing them that they had got off the mouth of very
And
weak
we
river
have
on the coast of Suriname.
This.
One would have thought so
Now the
miraculous
free
an
ride.
escape should have wrought some reformation, but, alas, they had no sooner quenched their thirst, but they had forgot the miracle, till scarcity of provisions awakened their senses, and bid them guard against starving. Their allowance was very small, and yet they would profanely say that Providence, which had gave them drink, would no doubt bring them meat also, if they would use but an honest endeavour. In pursuance of these honest endeavours,
Now
they were
the big
steering
one.
for the latitude of Barbados, with what little they had left to look out for more or starve, and in their way met a ship that answered their necessities, and after that a brigantine. The former was called the Greyhound, belonging to St. Christopher's and bound to Philadelphia, the mate of which signed the pirates' articles and was afterwards captain of the Ranger, consort to the Royal Fortune. Out of the ship and brigantine, the pirates got a good supply of provisions and liquor, designed with himself, and hoped with the communication.
Okay. Wait, what happened? Oh no. Dang it. Well, I broke it somehow. Oh well. Here we go. So we're almost done. I think this is the last one. So I've got 6 stenciled in. And then after this, now we're going to just do some painterly stuff, which is the fun part. It's all the fun part, really. I mean, you know. But the painterly stuff is the counting teeth and putting shadows where they need to be. And, I noticed on the original they drew in the there's a fissure at the back of the the eye socket that where the optic nerve passes through, and they've drawn that in. So they had some knowledge of anatomy when they did this. It's kind of cool. there's that. Let's go to the next part, the nose. The nose. Come on, what happened to my... I guess we're not going to be able to listen to this right now. There we go. All right, cool. We got a nice nose now. What a beautiful nose that is. Next, we're going to do the shading on the long bones. I'm going to get that in. And I think I want to go pretty light. So I may thin this a bit. We're going to do some long strokes to just shade, and strangely, shades the tops of the long bones. Ah, here we go, the judicial proceedings of the pirates. This is awesome.
They were arraigned upon a statute of their own making, and the letter of the law being strong against them, and the fact plainly proved, they were about to pronounce sentence, when one of the judges moved that they should first smoke to the pipe, which was accordingly done. All the prisoners pleaded for arrest of judgment very movingly, but the court had such an abhorrence of their crime that they could not be prevailed upon to show mercy, till one of the judges, whose name was Valentine Ashblood, stood up, and taking his pipe out of his mouth, said he had something to offer to the court on behalf of one of the prisoners, and spoke to this effect: "By God, Glasby shall not die. Damn me if he shall." After this learned speech, he sat down in his place and resumed his pipe. This motion was loudly opposed by all the rest of the judges.
Okay, and voila, we have pirate flags. So right now I'm going to clean my templates, wipe my table down. I'm going to hang this up, let it dry for a moment, and then we're going to get into the shading of the long bones. So I can bring this up a little bit so we can see it.
Thought it reasonable that Glasby should be acquitted, and so they all came over to his opinion and allowed it to be law. But all the mitigation that could be obtained for the other prisoners was that they should have the liberty of choosing any four of the whole company to be their executioners. The poor wretches were tied immediately to the mast, and there shot dead, pursuant to their villainous sentence.
Damn.
When they put to sea again, the prizes which had been detained only for fear of spreading any rumour concerning them, which had like to have been so fatal at Corfu, were thus disposed of.
I think what I want to do now, we need to go to the original reference here. We're going to do a series of the same operation. Let me turn it. There, how about that? That's a little better. What I want to do now is we're going to look at the original reference. Let's go ahead and let's hide this image. I don't need that, but I do want to look at this image because what we're going to do is the shading on the long bones. And I want to look at the museum. The museum apparently did a reconstruction, or somebody did. I think the museum did this reconstruction of what it might have looked like before it faded. Yeah, they just heightened the color and stuff. So what I want to do, I think, is I'm going to do things like this and this. Like you can see these circles here. This shading, and I'm just going to put those things in like this here, and then under there's scrubby stuff under here too, just to give this some definition. And then we'll do the long strokes later. They're a little simpler and they can be a bit lighter. I want, I think, to go. Let's put this over here.
When Robert saw there was no managing of such a company of wild, ungovernable brutes by gentle means,
yeah, and see, there's even some shading here, and I don't know that that's painted shading as much as I think that's discoloration of the cloth, the fabric. But I do want to do like this. You know, you got this little sort of an inverted check mark and swoosh around. So I want to do that kind of thing. So we're going to go in here. We're just going to shade these things. I'm just going to do it by eye. I don't have a template for it. And then I need to do like this stuff. I wonder if maybe I should thin it or not. I don't know. But there's some shading under here, right? So we want to give it some depth, and that's what we're going to do. So let's look at the original. I prefer work from the original rather than somebody else's interpretation of what it may have looked like. So that's what we're going to do here. And I'm just going to go one by one and bang through these. Like I see this here. I may do like all these upper lefts and just get them, and then maybe lower right. I'll just distribute it. My theory there is that you're going to make mistakes, or I'm going to make mistakes, no matter what. And I prefer to distribute errors. And if you do that, if you distribute the errors evenly, then it all looks kind of intentional, and then you get that sprezzatura, that look of making it look easy, which is what I'm after. I want this to, I don't want you to notice any of it. I just want it to, oh, it's a pirate flag, cool. But that's it. It's a pirate flag, we'd better surrender. That's what I'm after, not, oh my goodness, look at the quality of the painting and the shading on that long bone there. It appears to be the end of a femur. Nobody seeing this flag in the late 18th century would have thought anything about it other than, oh shit, you know. And that's where we're going with this. So I just want, oh shit, it's a pirate. I have two things to do. Actually, I wonder if I should do the teeth first. No. You know what? I'll do the long bones now. I'm going to do the shading on these long bones now, and then I'm going to hit the teeth. Before I go to any darker stuff, I want to do that. So let's just start doing that. So I'm just doing long bones, and then we'll go on beyond that afterward. So let me get my keyboard out of the way, get my monitor set up here. I've got 46%. That's plenty. And right, there we go. You just pick it doesn't even matter which one I start with. They all have to have the same kind of shading. Those almost look a little darker than the long bones here, you know? Like I could maybe go, like what's the reconstruction? This is a conjectural reconstruction, but what do you think of that? Like, let me give this some thought. I'm gonna have a smoke and consider it, drink some coffee, and we'll figure this out. Just try to decide how much depth do we want in that shading. Do I want it that dark? I don't think so. I think I do want to go. You know what? I think I want to go lighter on the long bone shading. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of doing that shading right now, I'm going to paint the teeth. So what I need to do is look at the teeth on this one, and I'm going to prepare my templates to give myself the indications of where the lines go. Like I can figure out how to paint. I can paint them, but what I want to do is figure out how to do these beautiful teeth. Right, so we have 1, 2, I think there are 12. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 teeth,
chased with all the sail they could
Evenly
come up with him,
spaced,
but their
pretty
hounds,
evenly
which had
spaced.
brought them very
We
nigh,
got 1, 2,
too
3,
late to
and
save
then
them.
like at the
The
center
hoisting of
is the
Jolly
1,
Roger,
2, 3,
and they
the
gave
6th.
that flag.
So the
Their
6th
French
tooth
hearts
is
failed,
roughly
and they
centered
both surrendered without
here,
any, or
right?
at least very little resistance.
And then we have
With
6th
these
on the right.
prizes, they went into Sierra Leone and made one of them
There's
their
the
consort
what
by
would
the
be
name
the
of
philtrum.
Ranger, and the other a storeship to clean by. Sierra Leone River
So,
disgorges with a large mouth, the starboard side of which drafts
I think what I want to do, and I'm really inclined to trust the unadulterated original
What still
more.
made it preferable to the pirates is that the trade
And all this other shading, this is, I think, slightly lighter. This appears to have been deep black, these things. But this here, like I'm looking at this here, and I see that I prefer this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to lay it out, and I think maybe I'll make little cuts on the template. Because again, I have 6 of these, and I want them consistent. I have 6 of these to do. You'll never see, first of all, you're going to have one of these flags, so it only needs to be internally consistent with itself. But just for the sake of correctness, I'm going to do, I think, let me take my template here. Let's get that up. Okay, that, let's go ahead and take this. I'm going to work again. Mine is the smaller one. Is the one I'm going to work out the problems on, and then when I get to the large, really nice one, I'll know how to do it. So it just really gets, it's nice. We're not solving problems on that one as much as just executing what I know how to do. So I'll let that down. We got a little bit of schmutz off of that. Let's do this side. Here we go. So now, I think I can take, oh, I need my pencil. Give me a pencil. Give me something to write on. I got my pencil. Here we go. Yes. All right. So what we're going to do is, it's kind of gruesome. Okay, let me see, because this thing, okay, the sharp point is off to the right at this view, so it's like this. The 6th, you know what, I think I want more light in here.
Alexander Middleton, one longboat. His man, Charles Hawkins. John Pierce, partners, one longboat. William Meade, partners, one longboat.
Now,
man, John Burnett. David Chalmers, one longboat. John Chalmers, one longboat. Richard Richardson, one longboat. Norton, partners, 2 longboats and 2 small boats. Richard Warren, partners, 2 longboats and 2 small boats. Robert Scullin, partners, 2 longboats and 2
that's a
small
little
boats.
better.
His man, John Francis.
All right, so,
and 1 young man.
oh, you can't see that. You can't see what I'm
John
doing.
England, 1 longboat.
Let me
Robert
go
Santos,
live
1 longboat.
view,
William
and,
Pricegrove, 1 sloop, 2 longboats, a small boat, and Perigo.
okay, let's adjust
2 longboats, a small boat,
this.
Perigo. Davis, 1 sloop, 2
Okay.
longboats, a small boat, Perigo.
There we go.
Rachel, 1
Right.
sloop, 2
Is that
longboats,
okay?
a small boat,
I think that's
Perigo.
kind of okay.
Richard
There,
Lamb,
that's better.
with Rakira.
Okay, so what I've got is, I want to come up with,
Peter Brown,
I need my teeth,
John Jones,
my giant
1 longboat.
teeth.
His Irish young man. At Rio Pungo, Benjamin Gunn. At
All right,
Keaton,
here's the view
George Yates.
that we have in this.
Galenius,
Oh, no.
Richard Lemons. The harbour is so convenient for wooding and watering
Yeah.
that it occasions many
Right,
of our
that's this
trade
one.
ships,
This
especially
way,
those of
and,
Bristol, to call in there
yeah.
with large cargoes
shadows
of
up
beer,
there.
cider, and strong liquors,
Now.
which they exchange with these private traders for slaves and teeth, purchased by them at the
So,
Rio Nunes
looking
and
at
other
these,
places to
we
the
have
northward.
this
So that here was what they call good living.
space here.
End of chapter 9, part
Where
5.
do the teeth begin?
Chapter 9, part 6 of the general history of the pirates.
So this
Volume
line,
1.
this line comes down.
All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Kate Mackenzie. The General History of the Pirates, Volume 1, by Charles Johnson. Chapter 9, Part 6.
And then this one over here.
Hither, Roberts came the end of June 1721, and had intelligence that the Swallow and Weymouth,
And I think what I want is something like this.
about a month before, and designed to return about Christmas, so that the pirates could indulge themselves with all the satisfaction in the world, in that they knew they were not only secure whilst there, but that in going down the coast after the men of war, they should always be able to get such intelligence of their rendezvous as would serve to make their expedition safe. So, after 6 weeks' stay, the ships being cleaned and fitted, and the men weary of whoring and drinking, they bethought themselves of business, and went to sea the beginning of August, taking their progress down the whole coast as low as Jacquin, plundering every ship they met.
Here's a question.
And what was valuable
Is it possible
and sometimes to be more mysteriously wicked,
place
they would
this?
throw what they did not want
Oh, you know what?
accumulating cruelty to
I think I may have just come up with an easier, better, more accurate way of reproducing those teeth. And that is
belonging to the Royal African Company, Captain G commander, which happened to lie
That
at
is,
Sestos to get water and necessaries for the company. A great many of Captain G's men were ashore when Roberts bore down, and
too much
so
wind
the ship
from
consequently
the
surprised into his hands.
outer
Though
world.
had they all been on board, it was not likely the case would have been otherwise. The sailors, most of them, voluntarily joined the pirates, and encouraging the same disposition.
What I'm doing now is I'm going to hold this up to my monitor. You can't see that, but you don't really need to. Too big. Go down the step. You know what? That might be it right there. Let's see if I can match this. Okay, that one, the real one is slightly. How about that? Okay, that's too small. That's too large. Right, this is slightly too large. So let's shrink this by, let's shrink it by 1%. Image, resize. By percentage, let's go to 99%.
Clergyman on board the Onslow, sent from England to be chaplain of Cape Corso Castle. Some of the pirates were keeping him, alleging merrily that their ship wanted a chaplain. Accordingly,
It's
they
close,
offered him
but
a
still
share
needs to
take
be
on the
smaller.
deck
So
of
let's
Oxley.
go
He should do nothing for his money
undo.
but make punch and say
Image.
prayers.
Resize. Let's go to
However
97%
brutish they
and
might
see
be
what
in
happens.
other things, they bore so great a respect to his order that they resolved not to force him against his inclinations. And the parson, having
That's closer.
relish for this
So
sort
we're
of
going to go
life,
down another.
excused himself from
Let's go to
executing the
95.
honor they
So
designed him.
undo.
They were satisfied
Let's
and
resize.
generous enough to deliver him back everything he owned to be
95.
his. The parson laid hold of this favorable disposition of the pirates and laid claim to several things belonging to
Close,
others,
but
which were also given up
almost
to his
there.
great satisfaction.
I think at 95% we're really, really close. I think that gets
The
it.
pirates kept
Right.
the Onslow for their own use and
Yeah,
gave
let's go at
Captain G
95%
the
of the original.
and then
And
fell
I
to
don't want
make
to save
such
this. I want to keep it,
alterations as might fit her for a sea rover,
unmodified for
pulling
my
down her bulkheads
reference
and
image.
making
But
her
for this purpose,
so that she became
now
a
I'm just going to
complete a ship for
I'm
their
going to tape a
purposes
piece
any
of
they could have found.
plain paper
They continued
across the
to
monitor
use the name of the Royal Fortune
and
mounted her
have a
with 40
reference
guns.
point.
The Ranger proceeded, as I said before, to Jacquin, and from thence on to Calabar, where they arrived about October in order to clean their ships, a place the most suitable on the whole coast.
Oh, you know what? And that also gives me, that's what I'm going to do right here. This is good. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to overlay this, just a piece of paper on here, on my monitor. I'm going to trace the lines. You can't see it, and I'm not going to fool around with the camera too much, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a piece of printer paper on the monitor. I've got it sized so it matches. Okay, pipe down. I'm going to just overlay a piece of printer paper on the monitor. I'm going to trace the position of the tick marks that make up the teeth, and have that as and lightly sketch the outlines of the eye sockets and the nose and the other reference points, and then I can cut a series of marks that will allow me to know where to put those teeth marks. So, and also the optic nerve thing, because that's a pretty dramatic thing that's very visible on there. So I want that well sketched on, and that'll solve a couple of problems here. That'll make it more accurate reproduction of the appearance of the original. So let's do that. And you know what? I want to see, because the teeth on this black one are so well defined. Let me get this nice squared away. I'm going to try it on the black one just because it's so visible and so clear. Let's do the same thing. And I don't know if this is the same. Let's see here. Image information. That's 3492 by 2592. Cancel. And what's this one look like? Image information. Cancel. Undo. Image information. 3492. Yeah, okay. Cancel. So let's go back. You know what? Let's just, then I image resize. Then I know that it's 95%. Okay? Right? There. So we've got that. Double check that this matches up. This almost could go a little smaller. Except the eye, I mean, you know what? I'd say this could go smaller, except the eyes, nose, and the cheeks and stuff all line up. And what I'm doing is I'm holding my template up to the monitor now. I've resized the image on the monitor, and it lines up right where it needs to. I mean, you know, if I go any smaller, I think it's going to alter it. I will try it once at 94. Image, right, we're unaltered now. Image resize. Let's go to 94 just to see if that makes it any better. Sometimes it does. So we'll try that. I don't think it needs 94. I think 95. No, I don't know, man. I mean, that's what. Yeah, I think 95 actually is it. So let's go undo. Let's go image resize. 95% of the original. And then we're going to do that to the black one also. Because that's such a clear, crisply drawn image that it's easier to. Yeah, so, okay, 95 works on that one. That's good, and I like it. Let's do the same for the black one. Image resize, 95. Now I should be able to overlay this. I think I'm going to scroll in one step. All right, this should line up right on there. Look at that. Yeah. That does it. So now, what I want to do is I'm going to use the this printer paper, and I'm going to make a separate template. I'm going to keep reference points that will allow me to overlay this on the existing painting that's on the flags. But this includes the main features. It's going to be very close. It won't be exact, but it's going to be very close, and it'll allow me. This just gets those things positioned well. So just a tiny little piece of tape on here. I'm going to fold this over just to make it easy to remove. But I'll put this on to lock it onto the monitor. And let's see here, let's do this one. And the same thing here. All right, so you don't need to see that anyway because there's nothing to look at. All right, so here we go. So now I'm just locking this onto the monitor. As long as I don't move that image, now I can trace the. Let's see what the original looks like. See, now I can trace this, and this will give me even more fine detail on here. And then I can I'll use this template. I'm making a new template here, so I'll use this one then to do some finer reference stuff for the pictures, you know, the skulls on the flags. So let's just trace the outline for a start. You know what? I want this to go up a little bit. I don't like there to be any tension. I want it just to lay flat, smooth. There. Right, how do we do that? Let's get that in there. Okay, just like that. All right, so we're going to just lightly trace. All I'm doing here on the edges, and I know you can't see this, but I'll describe it to you. I'm just indicating the outline of the skull. And then I'm going to outline the eye sockets and the nose. And then I am going to put indications of some of the widths of the shadows and things like that. Most of it's not critical. I'm going to be painting this. You know, it's not just copying, you know, just tracing, but I want to be able to line this up with what I have already got on there. Let's do this. This is the outline of the cheek shadow. There we go. Now the eye socket. Then I can cut these things out and I will have a good template for adding this onto my flags. And now I have to repeat this on the large one. But it's worth doing. I've got 6 of these to do. So yeah. If I was just doing one flag, I probably wouldn't do this. Well, actually, yeah, that's not true. I probably would do this. If I was doing this on a single flag, I still would probably do this. Like I want some precision here, you know. Okay, there's that. Good. Just checking to be sure my audio is on. All right, so now we have. And this is such a distinctive mark. I'm going to trace it fairly precisely. This is the, I forget the actual name of it, but it's where the optic nerve passes through the back of the eye socket. Okay, nose is good, those are good. Now it's down to the teeth. Let's do the teeth. I'm just tracing this, the little shadows between the teeth. Not precisely, this is just going to be a series of marks just to indicate where the teeth are. Okay. All right, so now we've got those indicated. Now before I take this down, I want to see, is there anything I need to do that, or I can do that'll, like I can put some of these shadows in here that go here. It's kind of hard to tell like, which is shadow and what's just staining on the fabric, but let's put that in there and we'll put this shading here. I'm just indicating roughly the outlines of these main shadows, and oh, here's the filtrum. I don't know what it is on the skull, but that's what it is in flesh. So let's indicate that there. And just some light sketchy stuff. But I've got the main positions of the teeth marked out. You'll be able to see it in a minute. I think that might be it, right? Like we've got, let's just do that. I think there's some, like it's kind of hard to tell, but I think that's the main stuff, you know. Let's put this. Oh, then there's a shadow up there too, right? Like that goes. It's going this way. Yeah. Okay, just like that. And that is that, I think. I think that gets it, right? And we got a little bit here. Okay. And now, yeah, and that's that. All right. There we go. That's all there is to it. So, let's see. Can you see this? Roughly about just below my face, I guess. I think there's a bit of delay here. And it's invisible because of the lighting. Well, you'll see it in a minute. All right, so I've done that one. Now I also want to do the large one. The large one is actually more important. So, but this indicates most of the major forms, the teeth, and some of the, and even some of the shadow. The teeth are really what I'm after. Now I need to do this for the big skull, which is the main point. So let's let me see if I can. Let's go up to here. We're going to have to do this in a different way. There. I may need to resize this differently than I did on the other one, or this, yeah, it looks a little different like that. No, that's too small. All right, so I'm going to hit undo. I want to make this normal size. And I'm just doing the same thing. I'm going to just try to get this to line up so that this is the same size as my template. Actually, this looks like it's 100%. Really close to it. Like it might be. I might need actually 1% larger on this one at this magnification. Do that. Let's go 1% larger. Let's see if that works. Image resize. So 101%. Okay. Do the same thing to it, which is to just lay a sheet of printer paper over it. That's better, man. Maybe 102. Let's try 102, but I'm loath to go any bigger, but I'm going to try 102. I think right where it is fine and dandy. So let's, in fact, yeah, you know what? Yeah, there you go. So that's a tracing I made from the monitor of the small version of the skull. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the large version, which is there. That's a bigger skull. This one is for this one. So I have my template. I have the proper sized source material. I'm going to scroll this down to here just so I can get all the teeth. The teeth are the main thing on this. So here we go. I need a piece of printer paper. Let's go to work. So I'm just going to tape this on and get to it. And I've got my little tape tabs. What did I do with them? Oh, darn it. Lost them. Oh, they're stuck on. I don't need them on there. I can reuse them. So take these. Peel this off. Yeah. So let's save that. And that. Okay. So here's my small version. There's my large version. Now the question is, do I want to go narrow? That get, ooh, you know what? If I do it that way, I get the eyes. And I can. So I'm just spacing it here. You know, my monitor is a limited size, so I'm doing the best I can to get it as much as in as I can. What I want is the maximum number of points of reference, right? Then you can line it up perfectly or as the more points of reference you have, the more perfectly you can line it up. So here, by turning the paper vertically, I get most of the eye sockets, all the teeth. Now I put my tape on so it doesn't move while I'm drawing, and we can go to work. Now, I could use, I could tape more sheets of paper together or something like that. I don't need to do that for this. What I want is exactly what I've got, which is the outline of the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that right now. Actually, I'm going to hit this draw line here. And again, I can't. I mean, I could show you, but I'm not going to. I can move the camera around and do all this stuff, but I want to get this thing done. So the stream will be this, and there's nobody watching anyway, so it doesn't matter. I mean, maybe somebody will be watching. I hope you come back and watch this. And you will be watching the what do you call it? The final version of this, but this will be a condensed thing, right? You know, what takes me an hour now will take 3 seconds in the edited video. The edited video is just going to say, all right, first you do this, then you do that, and here you go, and zip, 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 and wow, doesn't that look easy? Then you can come to the live stream and you say, wow, boy, he works slowly. Has a lot of trial and error, makes a lot of mistakes, and but that's kind of cool. Here's how you correct that. If this happens to you, you can learn from my mistakes and how I came up with a solution to correct them. All right, so there's that. Let's trace the nose. I'm just sketching that in. The nose and the outlines of the eye sockets are really just points of reference, so I can help line this up on the painting on the flags, right? I mean, I don't need that on here to do this. Really what I'm after is the teeth, and I want those optic nerves. And I know that's not exactly what they are, but that's what I'm calling them for now, just for shorthand. So we'll pick this, draw this right. I like making templates, especially when I have a project like this where I've got 6 skulls to do. You know, it allows it to be consistent, and then I can really get. I find that making templates like this frees me up to be creative in the painting. I can get the brush strokes, just the way I like them. And I can get get subtleties and shading and all that stuff without worrying about the outline and where it's positioned. I know some people can do it the other way, but why? You get extra points for that? I don't think so. What you get is points for making it look cool. These are going to look cool. That's what we're doing. We're making this look cool. So I wonder, as I'm sketching these giant teeth, I'm trying to think about how to cut this template. And I think maybe what I want to do is put, maybe I could just cut out every other tooth, right? That allows me to keep the integrity of the template. It's not going to fall apart. But it also, that might be the thing to do. I could either do a series of tiny little stripes cut in this, or just cut out every other tooth, and then I have, just fill in. Like I know where they're supposed to go, right? Like that. Let's just draw this. So right now I'm just doing these shadows between the teeth. You can see them on the drawing, and I'm just tracing that. Whistle light work. So right there, and there. So we're just getting all these. I just want all these divisions between the teeth drawn in, and they're really just, it's a 2-step. If you look at this, the painting, the flag, you can see it's really just 2 little slashes of color. There's a pale one, and then a more tightly controlled one that he put in, whoever the original artist was. And I'm just trying to follow that model because I'm going to put in some indicator marks, and then I'll go back in and okay, this needs a little darker, a little lighter, whatever. All right, that's good, right? So let's go some shadow here along the edge. And I really don't have a whole lot of room here. I can get the Feltram shading. It's kind of hard to see here. It's just put there. I'm just getting the rough shading of these bones. It's going to be really cool, man. It's already looking kind of cool. I think these are neat. This over here, just shading the cheekbones, gives it some depth, three-dimensionality. It's gonna look pretty rad. I think it's pretty rad. There, and then we got that, and I think that's all I can do. So, I think that's all I need to do. My main point here was to get the teeth. I've got the teeth. Let me turn off the monitor for a moment. Does it look like a skull? It looks like a skull. There's a good test for it, right? You turn off your source and you look at it and does it make sense? Can you read it? And yeah. So I'm ready to cut. So I want to turn my monitor back on. And now I'm going to peel this off carefully so I don't tear it. And then bring my X-Acto out and we're going to start cutting. So, I'm going to, and again, I'm going to work on the smaller one because that's my scapegoat, as I call it. What else you might want to call it, whatever you do, that's how I've thought about it for decades. I make one that's kind of a sacrifice, and that's the one I practice on and learn on, and then I do the actual one. I've got to think about this. So, well, here you go. Sorry. Let's try this. Let's go to a live view. Oh, perfect. Okay. What I have is my drawing. So, I have the body of the skull, then I have the eyes, and here's that little fissure at the back of the eye socket. I want these. They don't have to be perfect. I'm just trying to get where it goes roughly. So in order to create a template, what I want is some of this outline and then a structure holding this part, because I want this is what I'm really after within the framework of this eye socket. Now I could do this a couple of different ways. One, I could cut these out like eyeglasses and I could cut these out and then make this the stencil, like cut this into make this a hole, make this solid, and then have a solid that connects these two. And so as long as I line up those eyes, that should be okay. There's one way. That may be the way to do it. The shadowing here, this is just to kind of give me a sense of where it is. What I'm really after is the teeth. So what I want is, you know what? I'm going to start by taking the outline of the skull. Let's just do that. That's the easy one. We know that has to go, and that helps me align it on the overall structure, right? So let's do that first. You get your gross shapes in first, and you paint with a broad brush, so to speak. So there's that. That's done. Glad I have this waste paper basket here. So we're going to do this here. I'm just going to trace this around. Hope you can see this. Just pivoting as I go. And there we go. There's that. That's done. And now, and you know, since I'm doing two of these, I'm going to do the same operation on this one. So let's just take this. And there's that. Same thing here. Let's come down here. Right. That's already a couple of points of reference. You get the rough shape of that jawbone. Now, I know I want the nose, so we're going to cut the nose too. Let's cut the noses. And this is not going to be a precise thing, and this really isn't even a stencil. This is to help get those indicator lines that show where the teeth go. So this doesn't have to be precise. I'm just trying to get this so I can, so now I have, as reference, I've got the lines of the jaw, I've got the nose. You line those 3 points up, and you're already most of the way to having this thing registered properly. Same thing on this one. Registration is very important to me. If you get it properly registered, you cannot go far wrong. It opens up the ability to be very creative with what you do within that registered image. It probably doesn't make a lot of sense unless you know something about my other paintings, but you can take my word for it. Okay, so now I have already drawn this center line here, so I'm going to go, do I want to do that now? I don't know that I want to do that. I think I may not cut this center line. I may just do, so I've got two options here. I could cut out every other tooth, for example, and that'll tell me where to roughly put these. But I think what I want to do is cut roughly triangles here, these indicators that mark the spaces between the teeth. And I noticed on the, sorry to not bring my reference up, let's pull that back up. I notice here, these are roughly in line with one another. Like that's a continuous line. If you look at this, he painted that once. That's painted once. That's painted once. The lighter color. And then he went back in with these dark marks here to really define it. Now it's not quite done here, or unless it faded over time, which is possible. But here it looks like this was painted all at once to me. It's just continuous. You can see the edges all kind of correspond. Like there, that looks like a continuous line. I think that's what I'm going to do on this. I think I'm going to go and just paint those stripes and make little vertical slashes, and then I'll go back in and more fully define them with another layer of darker paint. So to keep that registered, I'm going to cut this jaw indicator. Let me pull this back a little bit, or forward. I guess I should go forward so you can see it better. All right, so I'm going to cut this because I already have this painted. If you remember from seeing the flags, I mean, you can see it on there. So I'm going to cut this. This should give me a point of registration on them. Over here, down here, and I already know that on those it spills out over these a little bit. We're just trying to get close with this. I mean, we're actually going to paint this. This isn't, we're not doing a carefully stenciled job. This is a painted flag, but I'm using the stencil here as just a tool to keep things close to where they ought to be. So there's that and that, right? So we have, I can throw this away. We're going to do the same thing on this one. Just carry on. Back to this. Right there. I'm going to go back around this way. And this gets it real close. Top of there, down and across, and down. Remove that. Same thing over here. Okay, so there's that and that. These out. So now we have two skulls that are, one of each size. I've got my noses, and in fact, I'm going to take this one and put it up over this and see where we are. Is that close? Yeah, that's pretty close. Okay. So I'm going to now go in with, I still haven't figured out what to do about the eyes. Do I want to do the back of the eye, that this really distinctive mark here? Do I want to do that as a separate element, like as a separate stencil? Do I want to cut out? It's going to look like a pair of spectacles. Do I want to do that, or do I want to go somehow keep it as a part of this template? I would prefer to keep it as part of this template, just because it's so much easier to do that. Now, one thing I could do is just cut out some of this, leave the bridges from the skull to this shape. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. But I know that I want to cut these lines here between the teeth. So once I get those, the teeth are pretty well defined. So let's see, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is dark space. So I can take that out. Right? That's what we're going to do first, is just sort of tightening this up. And the same thing on this side, right? And like that. And that, I think. Right? Yeah. Okay. So there we go. So now we have that defined. So I want to, this is the moment of truth here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to just cut these vertical lines, or something like that. And I'm going to give it some thought. I'm going to go see a man about a horse and refill my coffee, and I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. And then we're going to carry on. We're going to finish this part up, and then it's on to, we're going to go paint all of these teeth. We're ready to start marking teeth soon. I'm going to be cutting the template for them, in these marks in the eyes, and just really kind of refining it. Once you get these major indicators in, then you can start, you've got these points of reference on the painting, and you can start filling in the shading. Like I already have this part in. The nose will get a little darker, and then I'm going to put this shading in to kind of match this, and then in here, and we're going to go up, you know, like we'll put in all that shading later. What I really am after right now is all the teeth and these marks in the eyes. Once those are in, then we can start doing the broader, lighter stuff. You know, this stuff, you know, these marks on the bones, you know, this kind of thing that gives it this three-dimensionality. You know, this stuff here under the jaw, you know, and then really just kind of playing with it and painting. You know, we're getting up to the fun stuff. I keep saying that. I mean, the whole damn thing is fun. Like, just be, you know what? I think I just solved my question of the, so much for taking a break here. I did step away from it, but if we look at this, look. So I was going to cut out, I guess I can put that, well, I need that, don't I? Yeah, I want to show you on here. Well, no, hell, I'll just point to it in the real world. How about that? I was going to cut these out, and I want to indicate that. I don't need to do that. I'm going to just cut these. I'm not going to, I don't even need to indicate where these eye sockets are, because I have these 3 points of reference plus the shape of the jaw. And here I have this part of the jaw and these 3 points of reference. If they line up, these eye sockets ought to be really close to where they need to be. That's fine. Then I can indicate the teeth and put them all in. So I don't even have to do that. All I have to do is cut out these little bits of, these little islands, and then we're all set. So, see, stepping away and having a cup of coffee and stretching one's legs sometimes lead to a simple solution, and the simple solution is often really good. So that's what we're going to do. But for the moment, I'm going to continue to enjoy this fun back. Let me give you a shot of the pirate flags. And I think I'm going to, while we're doing that, I'm going to look at this beautiful picture from the 18th century of this lovely, not that one. Is it this one? It is. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. It's such a pretty picture. And I found this on siftingthepast.com. Great website. I think it's run by the guys who have James Townsend and Son, which is a reenactor's supply house. Been around for more than a quarter of a century. I mean, I started shopping there 30, 35 years ago. So maybe 50 years, I don't know. They've been around for a long time, but somebody associated with them, I think maybe the Son, I think that's his website, or it was anyway. And there's some fantastic 18th century reference, paintings, engravings, drawings, things like that, watercolors and stuff. And the great thing about it, one great thing about it, I mean, first of all, it's all really nice high-res images, but it's also searchable. So if you're interested in pancakes, for example, you can find 17th century Dutch pancakes and 18th century pancakes and more modern ones. So you can see the history of pancakes depicted in art, if that's your thing, or sloops, or fire irons, or whatever it is you're looking for. There's a good chance that it's tagged and searchable, so you can get a whole bunch of reference images for whatever topic you're interested in. It's a really wonderful website. Siftingthepast.com. Pretty sure that's the address. So check it. Anyway, I just love this painting. I found it, I've had this one for a long time, but I just rediscovered it in my files last night. I'm just enthralled with it. So charge the phone. I want to listen to something cool. I need some pirate adventures, man. Desk bound. So I need my imagination to carry me to the Caribbean. Really get into the spirit of pirate flag making. Let's take this down. Be there. And it's not loading. Why is that? My signal's no good, I guess. There we go. Still loading. Whew. Look at these. They're gonna be cool, man. Every normal man must be tempted at times to hoist the black flag, spit upon his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin slitting throats. That's H.L. Mencken. I don't know when it was written, but so every normal man must be tempted at times to spit upon his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin slitting throats. And I think he wrote maybe in the 19th century, or either early. I think he was either late 19th or early 20th century. Not sure, and I don't know what the reference for that is. I've seen the quote before, and pirate references always seem to jump out at me when I see them. So I've remembered that one for a long time. And I think it was also at the masthead of Ace of Spades, ace.mu.new, which was a website I used to frequent a long time ago. I haven't been there in 10 or 15 years, but I used to read that site, and he had that across the top. It always stood out because I'd seen the quote before, and then when I found this website, I was like, oh, okay, well, kindred spirit, likes piracy, cool. Can't be all bad. Don't know anything about it now. I don't even know if the site's still around. I imagine it is, but who knows? It was kind of political stuff. Haven't read it in a while. All right, let's go. Give me some general history of the pirates, please. Can we do that? For some reason, it's not loading. I don't know why. Here we go. Anyhow, I'm just taking a bit of a moment to rest here, and then we're going to finish cutting teeth, and then we're going to draw teeth. We got lots of tooths to draw. Once we get these indicators in, though, then the rest of it is just sort of the, as one of my bosses said one time, he came out, I worked at a production studio a long time ago, and I forget what we were doing, but I remember he walked out back and he's like, all right, do some of that artist shit. That was how we were to solve the problem. So I'm going to take a moment here to rest, and then we're going to do some of that artist shit. He was a businessman, not a painter, but he was a very, very shrewd businessman. We never wanted for work. And we did some cool stuff too. So the tip of my cocked hat to X Design. I wonder where, in fact, speaking of cocked hats, I think it's time. There we go. That's better. All right. You know what? I'm going to make an experiment here. I'm going to stop this stream and restart immediately. I'm trying to learn how YouTube Studio allows me to edit live streams and videos. I did one 8 hours or 7 minutes, 7 hours and 59 minutes yesterday, and that is too long to use the built-in editor. So I'm going to stop this one and start it, and to see, so I can determine how long the video can be before I can't edit it. So I will be on